Chapter 461. Icy Moon Paradise, Core Dao, Right Azure Mountains Dao Right Temple was shrouded in mist. Yin Caifeng's robes fluttered in the wind. When a figure came out of the wondrous door, she immediately went to welcome him. Yin Caifeng welcomed Su Fong into a palace in the forest. She couldn't wait to congratulate him. Congratulations on becoming the fourth sovereign's disciple. This is a great honor. In the history of the sect, no disciple has ever received such an honor. Right now, everyone in Icy Moon Paradise has a whole new level of respect for you. Your strength has actually reached my level. When you became a master, how many higher-ups and disciples were dissatisfied with you? But after your battle with Prince Shui, they all submitted to you. It's fine if they're dissatisfied. In any case, I'm not master now. Su Fong sat down. There were still a few cracks on his skin, but now he could finally relax. As a sovereign's disciple, he was absolutely safe in the Immortal Sealing sect. How could the Crown Prince faction dare be so arrogant in front of him? A sovereign's disciple had the power to kill ordinary disciples. Otherwise, how could he be a sovereign's disciple? In truth, he wasn't as busy as a master, but he still had the same amount of power as the higher-ups. I won't disturb you any longer. I'm afraid many people will come to visit you. Yin Caifeng knew that Su Fong needed to rest after his battle with Prince Shui, and it wouldn't be just a day or two. Then I'll have to trouble senior apprentice sister to tell them to leave first. Su Fong nodded at her, and she left. Within the Sealing Palace, Su Fong sighed and had his Yang Ying enter the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. Master, the 77 junior commanders were cultivating in Xuanhuang space. When the Yang Ying arrived, they all stood to welcome him. Su Fong scanned them and saw that they had used up a lot of energy. They had lost at least half of their energy. You've done a great service this time. Now, I'll bestow you with Yang Qi, immortal fruits, and various medicinal pills, including marrow cleansing pills. With a wave of his hand, a huge amount of resources, all of which were things even Tribulation Realm experts could only dream of, shot toward the 77 junior commanders like storm. They were currently lacking energy, especially Yang Qi and marrow cleansing pills, which could cleanse their marrow. Yang Qi could strengthen their vitality. Xianhuang, help everyone fuse with the immortal fruits. For now, do your best to help them recover their strength. You don't have to worry about me. He communicated with the original spirit and met with Bai Ling. With the origin embryo spirit elixir, Bai Ling's strength had actually reached the peak of the young infant realm and was about to step into the catastrophe realm. The origin fetus spiritual milk was truly a peerless spiritual treasure. Su Fong thought to himself, Dao Wuyang and Shu Shui have obtained most of the origin embryo spiritual milk. The next time I go to White Sand Island to see them, their strength will probably have reached the catastrophe realm and become a true big goblin. It's a pity that the origin embryo spiritual milk is a rare treasure. There are probably only a few pieces in the Zhuo Tian domain. I wonder where the other underground worlds are. Sister Bai, cultivate well. If this continues, we'll find some time to go find that Li Xingqiu and ask him to remove the heavenly neck spirit bracelet. That person must be incomparably powerful. We need to have the strength to have the qualifications to find him. After caring for Bai Ling for a while, the young infant came to another Jade world boundary. Patriarch, it's Su Fong. More than 20 cultivators were imprisoned in the Jade world boundary. In fact, it wasn't really a Jade world boundary. They could move freely in this large space, but they couldn't leave the other large spaces. When 8th Prince Zhao Changjing saw Su Fong's young infant, he was so frightened that he hurriedly called out to Zhao Wuji, who was sitting cross-legged in the center. Su Fong. Lu Lan sat at the side, his eyes filled with resentment. Su Fong floated above him. Zhao Wuji, I didn't kill all of your clansmen. I just shackled those who have some strength and know my identity. I'm not like you back then, who slaughtered my family Su and the royal clan. Blood flowed like a river. How do you plan to deal with us? Zhao Wuji asked calmly. I won't deal with you. I will bring you back to the Zhao Empire to be judged by my father and my clansmen. All of you will stay here. Also, I have to tell you that I just challenged Prince Shui and fought to a draw. I am now the fourth venerated Tao disciple of the immortal sealing sect. You, Zhao Wuji, felt as if he was struck by lightning. The others felt the same, especially Lu Lan. He was a genius in the past, but not only did he end up being suppressed by Su Fong, but he also witnessed Su Fong becoming a venerated Tao disciple. However, if you think that my goal is to become a venerated Tao disciple, then you are gravely mistaken. My goal is to take back the purple cloud's Dharma spirit. I don't care about becoming a venerated Tao disciple. After becoming a venerated Tao disciple, I won't become an immortal. My ultimate dream is to become an immortal like the previous leaders of the immortal sealing sect. I will leave this small world and go to the vast large world. There is an even vaster stage there, and everyone is ultimately different. After finishing his words, Su Fong's young nascent soul gradually dispersed. The rest of the Zhao clan's people didn't even have any hatred for Su Fong. After seeing Su Fong's current achievements and knowing his thoughts, comparing himself to them was equivalent to heartlessly shattering their Tao hearts. The young nascent soul returned. Lu Lan has already become a thing of the past. Killing you and Zhao Wuji is meaningless to me. The moment they fused, they started to recover. For the young commander to recover, it will take at least a few years, or even a few decades. As for me, I have old injuries and new ones. I won't be able to recover without a few years, or even a decade. In order to challenge Prince Shui, Su Fong didn't care about anything else and was willing to risk everything. When he took a closer look at his physical body, it was still in a broken state, but it wasn't as serious as before. The dragon-taming wood and the black lotus true body fused together. Without Su Fong activating it, the physical body automatically recovered. It only took half a day for the body to automatically recover. It was truly a miracle. Many of my meridians have been broken, and the energy of the 3 yang meridians has been depleted. Fortunately, the golden core origin is still as abundant. In fact, the energy of the golden core origin has already surpassed the catastrophe realm. After all, it's the energy left behind by 7-star child. There was a lot of bad news, but there was also good news. The golden core origin was now showing its importance. The vast treasures left behind by 7-star child were all filled with energy. In order to fuse with the black lotus true body, Su Fong hadn't used the energy of the golden core origin. The life force I used to fight against 7-star child's young infant will still need many years to recover. This time, I'm seriously injured, and the energy of the 3 yang meridians has been depleted. He was almost at the end of his rope. Fortunately, Su Fong was a big landlord and didn't lack resources. Moreover, he had become a disciple of the Venerable Tao. Now that he wasn't threatened by the Crown Prince Society, he had enough time to recover in the immortal sealing sect. He activated the 9 yang, 9 transformations, and the astonishing yang energy in his body began to burn. He drew wounds on his body and took out immortal fruit slices to implant them into the wounds. Suddenly, a thought came from outside. Junior brother, junior sister Haiqing wants to see you. Please let her in, senior sister. Yin Kaifeng was indeed outside and had helped him prevent many disciples from disturbing him. But Lan Haiqing, whoosh, a figure stepped into the barrier outside the hall. Senior sister, why are you here? They had only rested for a few days. They didn't expect Lan Haiqing to come so quickly. When Lan Haiqing saw the countless wounds on Su Fong's body, her eyes filled with worry. Senior sister Huang sent me to ask about you. Senior sister, aren't you worried about me? Su Fong asked calmly. What's the use of being worried? I can't help you. I know you don't listen to others. Lan Haiqing was extremely angry. She came to Su Fong's side and looked at the wounds and wounds on his body. Tears glistened in her eyes as she tried not to let Su Fong see her. She took out an empty bag and handed it to Su Fong. They were all resources brought by Huang Lingyao. She was quite generous. There were many flowers of immortality and high-grade marrow cleansing pills, which Su Fong needed the most. There was also a small spirit meridian. Huang Lingyao was really generous. She had also spent a lot. Lan Haiqing sat down and said calmly, Your battle with the Crown Prince has already shaken the sect. You've also become the fourth venerated Tao disciple. Now, you have the same status as Senior Sister Huang. I'm happy for your achievements. My goal isn't to become a venerated Tao disciple. My goal isn't to become a venerated Tao disciple. I know your ambitions are higher than the heavens. From now on, you'll be busy. I don't know how many disciples will want you to establish a party. Establishing a party? Could it be that Huang Lingyao has her own ideas? I actually didn't think about that. Right now, I just want to quickly recover my strength and break through to the Yang Soul realm. After all, Prince Shui won't let me go, and I won't let him go either. I still have a battle with him in the end. That battle will be a battle of life and death. Senior Sister just told me to tell you to discuss things with her. Also, in this battle with Prince Shui, you actually didn't force Prince Shui to use his true strength. Wan Haiqing's tone suddenly became serious. Is that so? I also know a bit about it. Rumor has it that he once merged with the Immortals, but he didn't use it. Su Fang's eyes were filled with Lan Haiqing's shadow. Prince Shui's strength is unfathomable. When he fought you, he only used his sex divine abilities. According to my predictions, he only used half of his strength when fighting you. If you include his Dharma treasures, Prince Shui didn't even use a third of his strength. Understand, but you also know that I didn't use all my techniques. To tell you the truth, although I'm not Prince Shui's match right now, and my strength isn't even a fifth of his, it's impossible for him to kill me. I'll leave first. Rest well. If you're well, go see Senior Sister when you have time. It'll be good for you to interact with her more. Hearing this, Lan Haiqing silently stood up, nodded, and disappeared from the formation. Huang Lingyao is impatient, but compared to Prince Shui, Huang Lingyao is even more terrifying. I still can't see through her thoughts. He continued cultivating. The wounds on his skin had completely healed. On the surface, Su Fang didn't seem to have any problems. Fangyu. After a while, there was movement outside again. After Su Fang stopped cultivating, a dozen figures appeared in the formation. The leader was Jin Changkong. Next to him were Li Yingying and Tai, Yin Kaifeng, and the other higher-ups. There were also several elders whose positions were higher than the sect masters. Su Fang bowed. Senior brothers and sisters. Jin Changkong indicated for Su Fang to sit. We've come as representatives of the heavenly paradise to see you. I didn't expect you to be so energetic in such a short time. As expected of the Venerable One's disciple. You become the Venerable One's disciple, allowing the heavenly paradise to finally change. You're a great contributor to the heavenly paradise. If you need any help, just say the word. We old fellows will personally help you recover, said an old man. Many thanks. Disciple can still control his injuries. I'll take this opportunity to stabilize my mental state and comprehend the 7 divine abilities of the sect. Good. Here are 10 million pure essence pills that have reached the Yang Soul realm. There are also some marrow cleansing pills. I hope they'll be helpful to you. We won't disturb your cultivation. Jin Changkong left behind a jade bottle and left with the heavenly paradise's higher-ups. Only now do I feel some of the benefits of being the Venerable One's disciple. 10 million pills. He didn't stand on ceremony. He put away the jade bottle and handed it to Xin Wang. He had to distribute the pills to the junior commanders so that they could quickly recover their strength. I have to start fusing with the last part of the Black Lotus True Body. I believe that after fusing with it, I should be able to break through to the Yang Soul realm. After confirming that there was no one outside, Su Fang summoned the Black Lotus True Body. Chapter 462. He used the 9 Yang 9 transformations technique and absorbed the Black Lotus True Body. The Black Lotus blood threads were devouring the immortal fruits in his body. As time passed, his broken body finally recovered. However, his energy still needed time to slowly recover. Unknowingly, 3 years passed. Su Fang, who was sitting cross-legged in the main hall, did not seem to be cultivating crazily. In fact, he was fusing with the Black Lotus True Body. He also made many cuts on his body to implant more immortal fruits. Fortunately, there are many immortal fruits. Moreover, Mortal cultivators cannot fuse with them casually. I can only fuse with 1 or 2 immortal fruits each time. The immortal fruits contained high-level energy and life energy. It was what Su Fong needed now. After 10 breaths, the wounds were healed. No wounds could be seen. Buzz. The token suddenly moved. After activating it, Jin Chankong's thoughts came from it. The Grand Elder is calling for you at your new training ground. I will wait for you on the way and lead you there. New training ground, so that's how it is. He stopped cultivating and took a marrow cleansing pill to keep his body in a state of cultivation. My physical body is fine. In the past, any injury can be healed in 3 years. However, the energy in my body is not even full. At least, most of my meridians have been fused. There's still a few meridians that need to be regenerated. After bidding farewell to Yin Kaifeng, he flew for a while and met Jin Chankong halfway. There were a few higher-ups with him, and Tai was among them. The few of them soon arrived at the deeper part of the dojo space. Jin Chankong's expression changed slightly as a deep enchantment appeared in the space before them. Fang Yu, your new dojo is in the deeper part of the dojo. It's in the same area as most of the Catastrophe Realm cultivators. However, your dojo is deeper. Those ordinary core disciples are unable to enter the vicinity of your dojo. After trying, they used the venerable Dao disciple token to pass through the barrier. The heaven and earth energy inside was abundant. The space was even more vast. After flying for a while, they saw a floating palace on top of a mountain. There were some buildings around the palace that were in the shape of a half-moon. This was built by the higher-ups of the sect, according to the frozen moon grotto heaven. Since you came out of the grotto heaven, you will represent the grotto heaven in the future. They arrived at the central hall. The surrounding buildings were all floating. There was still some distance from the mountain below. Jin Chankong led them into the hall. There was an aura of isolation. Su Fong and the others were familiar with the interior of the palace. After a while, Jin Chankong sat down and said, "There's a spirit vein buried in the upper levels of this Dao Hall. There are also many spirit stones. Only special disciples are qualified to use them. Even the sect masters do not have them. Let's wait for a while. The first elders will soon descend." Sure enough, in less than an hour, 3 wills suddenly appeared. Everyone bowed in unison. Great Elder, Xiao Yun's, Taoist Wuzhen's, and exalted cultivator Yuezhen's wills floated into the air and started to materialize into their true forms. However, they were still in their young infant state. Taoist Wuzhen praised, as expected of a talented man. Fang Yu, it's only been a short time, and you've almost recovered from your injuries. However, your aura is shackled by your lifespan. You must have done something heaven-defying and consumed a lot of your lifespan. You still need to cultivate to make up for it. What powerful great elders. Such people are terrifying. Being with them is the same as being with the 5 poison sects leader. Even Li Ziqing can't compare to them. Exalted Yu Zhen is clearly weaker than the 2 great elders. Inwardly, he admired the first elder's ability. Grand Elder Xiao Yin flicked his finger and an empty bag flew over to Su Fong. This is the sect's reward for you. As a disciple of the Sovereign Dao, you're being rewarded with a king-grade enchanted item. Although its quality isn't too outstanding, it's enough for you to cultivate with your current realm. Although your strength is outstanding, your realm will shackle your abilities. It's very difficult for you to use a king-grade enchanted item. Other than the king-grade enchanted item, there are also many medicinal pills. Most of them have reached the Yang Soul realm. Once you reach the Calamity realm in the future, you'll be given even more resources. According to the rules, I'm supposed to teach you more divine abilities, but Elder Yu has already done that for the sect. I didn't mean it. Fang Yu's current accomplishments are inseparable from his breakthrough in the Xinjia Gate, said exalted Yu Zhen modestly. Disciple will cultivate even harder. After all, it was a king-grade enchanted item that came with a shocking amount of resources. This was a reward that ordinary Calamity Realm disciples wouldn't be able to obtain. Perhaps those Calamity Realm disciples would be lucky enough to obtain a king-grade enchanted item through training, but it was impossible for them to obtain a large amount of resources through luck. As a sect disciple, being rewarded with a king-grade enchanted item was actually a huge advantage. The sect would measure a disciple's cultivation base and cultivation technique, and then bestow them with an enchanted item that matched their cultivation base and ability. That way, the disciple would be able to easily activate the enchanted item's power. The sect is currently sending out invitations. The grand coronation ceremony will be held 7 years from now. You don't need to worry about that. The sect will arrange it for you. At that time, various powers will send representatives to observe the ceremony. It will also increase the sect's connection with the righteous path. This Dao rite is called the Xianyue Dao rite. From now on, you will diligently train here and strive to reach the Calamity Realm as soon as possible. As for the other 3 exalted Dao disciples, they're also striving to break through to a higher realm. I hope you can quickly catch up to them. After the wills of the 3 grand elders were done, they immediately dispersed. Xianyue Dao rite this was very suitable for Su Fang's identity. He came from the frozen moon heavenly paradise, and the name of the Dao rite had the word moon in it. After Jin Zhangkong and the others congratulated him, they also left the Dao rite. Su Fang began to put some thought into it. Using the exalted Dao disciple token, he began to set up a barrier. Most of it was the 10,000 God seal. A large number of seal runes surrounded the Xianyue Dao rite, forming layers of spider webs. After more than a month, he finally finished setting up the barrier. The barrier enveloped the Xianyue Dao rite in 3 layers. Although it was not solid, it could sense any aura. In the sect, why would they need such a solid formation? No one dared to casually attack the barrier in the core Dao rite. Oh, this is Huang Lingyao and senior sister Lan. After resting for a while, the barriers sensed them. Huang Lingyao also sent a thought to activate the formation. A shuttling force brought Huang Lingyao and Lan Haicheng into the main hall. Su Fang had already arrived in the main hall to wait. Senior sister, Huang Lingyao nodded. You're also an exalted Dao disciple. No need to be so polite. You have to pay attention to your identity and act like an exalted Dao disciple. You still think I'm just a chess piece in your hands. Hearing this tone, Su Fang snorted inwardly and invited the 2 to sit down. Your Xianyue Dao rite is very good. I won't be able to sit here for long. After all, the Crown Prince and I have become enemies because of you. If he knows about our relationship, he will definitely deal with us. Senior sister is just here as a guest. We are all exalted Dao disciples. This kind of etiquette is necessary. You are so smart. Huang Lingyao's eyes were full of admiration. Now that you have a Dao rite, you are also an exalted Dao disciple like us. I hope you will not be arrogant because of this. Su Fang clasped his fists. Senior sister, please explain. When Haicheng went to see you last time, he should have given you a hint. This time, you seem to have forced Prince Shui into a desperate situation. But in fact, Prince Shui did not use his strength and did not really treat you as his opponent. A person like him will only use his true strength when he encounters a peerless treasure or a strong enemy. If it were me, I would be the same as him and would not casually use my true strength in the sect. Therefore, you have to understand this. You have to know Prince Shui's true strength. He has the strength of an elder. Once he uses his full strength, you will not be able to withstand a single move from him. Now that you are exalted Dao disciple, he will not make things difficult for you in the sect. However, in the future, when you go to some forbidden areas and are far away from the sect, that may not be the case. Understand. Thank you, senior sister. I also felt that Prince Shui did not use his true strength at that time. Rumor has it that this person has the support of an immortal, but he has never used any high-level techniques. He has been using the 7 major supernatural powers to fight with me. In fact, I was extremely lucky to be able to injure him. That's all I have to say. If you have any difficulties in the future, you can ask Haicheng to help you. She knows the situation in the sect very well. Huang Lingyao stood up and looked at Lan Haicheng in front of everyone. Finally, she emphasized her words and left the Xianyue Dao rite with Lan Haicheng. From beginning to end, Lan Haicheng did not say anything. I will listen to you. Can't I let you be my pawn too? You want to get rid of Prince Shui as much as I do, and even that Sheng Chong Sheng. After sending the two girls away, Su Fong began to continue cultivating. Another long time passed. I have finally merged perfectly with the Black Lotus True Body. Apart from the 3 yang meridians, the energy in my body has reached a normal and abundant state. It is time to break through to the yang nascent soul realm. He stood up and flew out of the Xianyue Dao right. Fang Yu, there's something I have to tell you. You can't tell anyone about the Dao item you gave to the sect and what happened in the Xinjia Gate. It's related to the future of the sect. I hope you can understand. An invisible will suddenly descended from the depths of the Xianyue Dao right. Grand Elder Xiao Yun. He was terrified. With such a strong will, it would be impossible to guard against a sneak attack. Exalted Yuezhans will also transmitted. Master, I can't leave the sect with you for now. The Celestial Sealing sect will notice. No problem. You can stay in the sect as the Grand Elder. If Prince Shui wants to find you, slowly act like you want to support him. Do the same for Huang Lingyao and Sheng Chongsheng. After exchanging a few words with Exalted Yuezhan, he left the Celestial Sealing sect's Xianyue Dao right. Soon, he arrived at the Yuan city. He changed his appearance and concealed his aura before going directly to the meteorite. He saw the Demon King Supreme, who was still a young nascent soul expert. It seemed that the true demon blood really could bring about a change to Demon Dao experts. Wan Mo was a bit stronger. He was almost at the peak of the young nascent soul realm. He obtained a large amount of pure origin pills and spirit stones from the two of them. They were all from the yang strengthening pills. In order to reward the two of them, he gave them some yang energy. Yang energy was a treasure that Demon Dao experts yearned for even in their dreams. After taking care of everything, Su Fong left the meteorite and flew away from the edge of the Crimson Sky continent. He arrived at an island in the water. Setting up a formation, he released his senses and hid the commanders of the water monsters, Feng Xingzhen, and the other slaves around the island to protect him during his tribulation. I used the life-shrinking technique many times in the imperishable realm and injured my physical body in lifespan time after time. This tribulation will definitely be very strong. He was still preparing. He took out a large amount of spirit stones to build an altar. Fortunately, he had an advantage, which was his young nascent soul. He had a young nascent soul when he was in the imperishable realm, so it would naturally help him break through to the young nascent soul realm. Sizzle. After building the altar, he released his aura. In an instant, dark clouds began to gather in the sky. Chapter 463. The heavenly tribulation came so quickly. I'm afraid it has something to do with my life-shrinking technique. He didn't expect that when he released the terrifying energy in his body, the world would sense the distance between his physical body and his strength, causing the heavenly tribulation to descend from the depths of the world. This heavenly tribulation is unusual. Although I have the Black Lotus True Body and the Dragon Subduing Wood, I still need an extra layer of protection. The Icebound King's Immortal Blood Essence is the best choice. Su Fong didn't forget that there was still a peerless power in his body. It coexisted with the immortal fruit and even the existence of the surpassing immortal fruit. The Icebound King's corpse through Immortal Gate was incomparably mysterious. The Icebound King had been shackled inside for countless years. Unfortunately, most of his physical body had been frozen, leaving only a small amount of immortal blood. When he recovered his blood body, the immortal blood was only slightly stronger than that of a mortal, but slightly weaker than a true immortal. It was between the immortal blood essence and the surpassing immortal blood essence. This level of blood was just right for Su Fong to refine and absorb. If it was a true immortal blood essence, not to mention absorbing the immortal blood essence, the body wouldn't even be shaken at all. He wasn't the only one absorbing the immortal blood essence. He also refined it, fused it with his yang qi, and gave it to Junior Commander, Bai Ling, and the servants to absorb, increasing their overall strength. Of course, there was also Gue Gue. The true demon blood in the true demon blood plate had already been completely devoured by Gue Gue. If it didn't have powerful blood to absorb, it wouldn't be able to increase its strength quickly. The heavenly tribulation came so quickly. Looking at the sky, the tribulation clouds were boiling. Lightning and thunder mixed together, as if there was a heavenly army fighting within. It was almost above his head. His breathing was gradually suppressed by the invisible, baleful aura. His physical body felt like it had been placed into the divine image world of a powerhouse. This small island was completely filled with the baleful aura of the heavenly tribulation. He immediately used the 100 acupoints finger technique. After another burst of energy, the dark clouds in the sky surged. Lightning burst out, intertwining into a net of electricity, illuminating the dark clouds. Chi! Su Fong jumped up from the altar. He condensed the heaven-worshipping palm in the air. Chi! The heaven-worshipping palm technique was the first to take form. Following that, a giant form from the heaven-worshipping stone statue appeared. In actual fact, it looked similar to the shattered heaven-worshipping stone statue. This was an Abhijna avatar that was cultivated by combining the indestructible golden body, the flesh fetus divine armor, and the heaven-worshipping palm art. The Su Fong was mainly used for attack and defense. During the battle with Prince Shui, he had saved him from danger several times. Lotus Curve, Sword Chi. The young infant and his hands immediately formed a seal. The true Chi in his body surged like blood vessels, and a large number of seals were formed. A lotus petal-shaped sword Chi appeared in the palms of the protective statue, connecting them one by one. Ja! At the same time, the heavenly tribulation dark clouds above shook violently. It looked like it was about to disappear, but it was actually a sudden and vast force. Then, the first heavenly tribulation turned into 3 dazzling blood-red thunderbolts that almost covered the light of the divine sun. Surrounded by the burning evil chi of the heavenly tribulation, they were directly separated from the heavenly tribulation and poured down. After leaving the heavenly tribulation, 3 bolts of heavenly tribulation lightning streaked across the gloomy sky. They moved faster and faster, and their domineering aura was not inferior to that of a high-grade Dharma artifact. This was only the Yang Soul Realm's heavenly tribulation, but it was already close to the catastrophe realm. Whoosh! The strength of the heavenly tribulation was completely at the peak of Su Fong's strength. His strength was only at the high level of the Yang Soul Realm, close to the catastrophe realm, and the heavenly tribulation was also at the same level. This meant that Su Fong had to use all his strength to shatter the heavenly tribulation. Moreover, it was a thunder tribulation, which was even more difficult to deal with. Of course, he could also use Dharma artifacts, but to him, he would only use Dharma artifacts when facing a life and death enemy. The energy in his body burned. The majestic energy turned into countless lotus petal-shaped sword chi. The lotus petal-shaped sword chi was immediately sent out by the statue, rising up into the sky. Chi, chi, chi. The 3 bolts of heavenly tribulation lightning struck the lotus petal-shaped sword chi layer like a mountain. With a series of cracking sounds, the heavenly tribulation lightning gradually tore the lotus petal-shaped sword chi layer apart. Fortunately, under the seal, the sword chi merged together and resisted the heavenly tribulation lightning. The heavenly tribulation lightning was still cutting the sword chi layer. The sword technique from the Green Lotus Sword sect of the Wu-Tan realm was even more powerful than the Celestial Sealing sect's Daluo Heaven Sword Chi. At this moment, Su Fong controlled the statue and pushed some of its aura. With the push of the aura, the sword chi layer was almost able to resist the bombardment of the heavenly tribulation lightning. Some auras cannot be blocked or defended against by the heavenly tribulation lightning's invisible baleful aura. It should be some miraculous baptism power in the heavenly tribulation. He did not use his origin divine power. He also did not use any Dharma artifacts. After about half an hour, the first round of heavenly tribulation lightning finally weakened. The lightning disappeared, and the 3 bolts of lightning in the center finally turned into lightning and dissipated. He heaved a sigh of relief and stared at the churning heavenly tribulation. It's comfortable. Although it's oppressive, I can use all my strength and let my physical body move. Although it consumes energy, I have a kind of confidence to compete with the heavenly Tao. It's planted in my Tao heart. Moreover, the invisible baptism brought by the first round of heavenly tribulation lightning weakened the shackles of the heavenly tribulation lightning. After he was ready, the second round of heavenly tribulation lightning immediately descended. It was not a heavenly tribulation lightning, but a six-layered whirlpool storm. He felt that he was seeing the whirlpool storm of the Seven Stars Demon Island again, and his heart tightened. The lightning was domineering, and the wind was pervasive. Its attack power was not much worse than the heavenly tribulation lightning. This time, I will directly use the heaven worship palm art to shatter the six-layered heavenly tribulation lightning. In the blink of an eye, his fleshly body stretched, and his power surged. The six-layered heavenly tribulation lightning was rolling toward him, and within a few breaths of time, the entire island would be destroyed. Heaven worship palm art. The statue that was protecting Su Fong spread its arms like a living person and activated its palms with a sizzling sound. Its right palm blasted towards the first heavenly tribulation storm. Whack! Boom! The heaven-worshipping palm struck the heavenly tribulation storm, but did not immediately shatter it. The storm was extremely ferocious. It was like a meat grinder monster made of countless sharp blades that wanted to grind the heaven-worshipping palm to pieces. Every time it spun, it would grind and slice countless times. Thankfully, the heaven-worship palm art was imbued with immense god power and was also an incomplete immortal-class energy art. After a moment, rumbling sounds could be heard as it shattered the heavenly tribulation lightning. Boom! However, the second heavenly tribulation lightning slammed into the statue's right palm, shattering it. Then the statue's left arm swept out to meet the second heavenly tribulation lightning. Form, heaven worship palm art. Then he absorbed the power within him and formed four enormous palms that bowed to the heavens. Because the heavenly tribulation lightning was moving so quickly and so fiercely, there was no way the heaven worship palm art could break through them one by one. Boom! Boom! Just as the four-faced heaven-bowing palm technique was formed, the other four vortexes came crashing down. Part of the force of the collision extended through the giant palm and the human statue, hitting Su Fong. Whoosh! Su Fong's long hair fluttered, and his skin glowed with a blood-colored light. What incredible power! It didn't hurt my fleshly body, but I lost control of my true energy. Rewuyuyumble. In the blink of an eye, all of the heavenly tribulation lightning vortexes were destroyed. However, the power of the heavenly tribulation lightning was still there, although it wasn't as fierce as before. The heavenly tribulation lightning vortexes caused the giant to sway back and forth. Eventually, the aura of the heavenly tribulation lightning vortexes weakened, and the statue was finally able to defend itself. However, at the same time, cracking sounds could be heard coming from the statue. Crash! The statue was completely destroyed, and Su Fong was left to face the fierce heavenly tribulation lightning with his tiny fleshly body. The third heavenly tribulation, which is also the last heavenly tribulation, will definitely be extremely powerful. Next, I will use the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation to see the power of the fire god elephant and the fire crystal golems that have improved over the years. Su Fong wanted to continue using his fists to break the third heavenly tribulation lightning vortexes. A perfected physical body was naturally powerful, and with the addition of the Herculean divine palm, he was invincible. However, he wanted to see the power of the fire crystal golems and the fire god elephant. Su Fong had used the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation many times when he was dealing with the supreme god sect. Later, he let the fire god elephant cultivate on its own and never used the 8 origin spiritual elephant formation again. Now was the time to test its power. Boom! Boom! The fire god elephant and the 8 fire crystal golems flew out of Su Fong's body. The remaining 5 fire crystal golems didn't need to be integrated into the formation for now. A large number of formation runes exploded, forming a formation space above Su Fong. The fire god elephant and the 8 fire crystal golems immediately entered it. Imperial Decree Boom. 8 origins spiritual elephant formation, rise. Boom, boom, boom. The fire crystal golems have almost reached the peak of high-grade Dharma artifacts, while the fire god elephant is even more powerful. Let's see if it can block the 9 heavenly tribulation bolts. Boom, boom. After striking the 8 origin soul elephant array, the entire array formation shook. However, Su Fong revealed a gratified smile. Although the entire array formation had been fiercely attacked, none of the array formations had been destroyed. Boom, boom, boom. Another 2 heavenly tribulations struck the formation. The formation was still shaking, and the internal formations were operating quickly. The fire god elephant controlled the fire crystal golems and worked together to activate different formations to block the heavenly tribulations' continuous attacks. Boom, boom, boom. Even Su Fong spat out a mouthful of blood. He immediately looked at the formation. The 8 origin spiritual elephant formation had only been shaken a little, but it wasn't damaged at all. It just lacked momentum. The 8 origin spiritual elephant formation resisted the 9 heavenly tribulations. Swish, swish, swish. The formation vanished, and the fire god elephant and fire crystal golems immediately entered his body. Next is shattering and baptism. Boom, 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 boom. Since this is the Zhuotian realm, I have to absorb more baptism power. Won't I be able to activate the origin source's power? Boom, 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 boom. While Su Fong's body was being baptized, he activated the fire cloud spirit gore to absorb the origin source's power. The origin source's power began to explode, and with Su Fong's grand perfection ability, it was his first time seeing the baptism power of the heavenly tribulation. It was a multicolored radiance. It was very fine, but it was extremely dense, like a multicolored waterfall. He also saw that there was a lot of Zhuotian realm's essence in the surroundings. This was great. He could use his source's divine might to start absorbing the baptism's power and essence. Boom! Because his physical body had absorbed too much baptism energy, it was once again baptized. From head to toe, from inside to outside, more and more impurities were expelled. Under the great perfection of his vision, the boundless baptism energy poured into his body in greater and greater amounts, and the heavenly tribulation dissipated bit by bit. Chapter 464. The heavenly tribulation dissipated. It was said that the heavenly tribulation would disappear soon, and so would the power of the baptism. Su Fong absorbed the power of the baptism, but his body was heavily injured and shattered several times. Even the black lotus blood threads in his body were broken several times. When the heavenly tribulation officially dissipated and his body was violently shattered, he quickly recovered under the power of the baptism. In order to speed up his recovery, Su Fong swallowed a few drops of the Frost King's blood essence, took a marrow cleansing pill, and an undying flower. Resources. In order to increase his strength, he had to use them to increase his strength. Taking advantage of the fact that he had just broken through to the Yang Soul realm and his body had expanded several times, he needed a lot of energy and was in a state of emptiness. When he looked at the sky again, there was no trace of the heavenly tribulation. It had completely disappeared, leaving only the surrounding ruins of the small island. Suddenly, the last power of the baptism entered the depths of his mind and fiercely exploded. This, as if he understood what was about to happen, his eyes darkened and lost their color. Su Fong closed his eyes slightly as if he was sleeping, sitting cross-legged without moving. At this moment, in the depths of his mind, Su Fong felt that he had sunk into an infinite world of paste. The Yang Soul seemed to have turned into countless fragments, and the divine aperture was also in fragments. Before Su Fong could sense it, the divine aperture in Yang soul had already shattered under the power of the baptism. Shatter. If the divine aperture in Yang soul were gone, wouldn't the person be dead? The Yang soul was the soul, which was formed by the soul's energy. However, Su Fong found that he was still alive, but he didn't have the energy to control the Yang soul. Just like that, he sank into the paste for a while. Suddenly, a light seemed to explode from the paste, causing the paste to disappear. His consciousness started to merge from its fragmented state and quickly turned into a brand new Yang soul. The divine aperture also started to condense, and the space was 10 times bigger than before, and it was also several times harder. Just as the Yang soul realm's Great Tribulation Manual said, once a cultivator enters the Yang soul realm from the imperishable realm, they will enter a state of suspended animation and nirvana. That paste state, just now, was nirvana. Su Fong suddenly understood. So it wasn't an accident. Instead, it was a process of breaking through to the Yang soul stage and transforming his primordial spirit into a Yang soul. I've finally fused perfectly with Seven Star Child's Yang nascent soul. This is no longer Seven Star Child's Yang nascent soul, but my Su Fong's. Even if Seven Star Child comes, he won't be able to take away my Yang nascent soul. Furthermore, my Yang nascent soul is built on top of Seven Star Child's. My Yang nascent soul has reached the 10th stage of the Yang nascent soul. He was pleasantly surprised. At this moment, he had completed his tribulation, and his Yang soul had gone through the process of giving birth to a Yang soul from his primordial spirit. His soul and body were baptized by the heavenly tribulation and transformed perfectly. Yang infant stage Su Fong had finally stepped into the Yang infant realm. In the Yang nascent soul realm, the main thing is to cultivate the Yang nascent soul. My physical body and mystiques are secondary. Right now, my strength has completely reached the 10th level of the Yang nascent soul realm. Even a first-level catastrophe realm powerhouse can't do anything to me. Feng Xingjun, Mo Fengjun, and the other slaves have also been surpassed by me. In the future, the only thing they can help me with is refining pills. In the future, the slaves I suppress will definitely be in the catastrophe realm. Begin to examine the body with the Yang infant. When the Yang infant entered the depths of the body, Su Fong's face was filled with pleasant surprise. Although the 3 Yang meridians didn't have much energy, the 4th Yang meridian was almost completed. It should be completed soon. His meridians were 10 times stronger than those in the imperishable realm, and his physical body was also 10 times harder. Every meridian was as vast as a river, and when combined together, they were like a vast ocean. The perfect black lotus true body, from his meridians to his bones to his heart to his flesh, they were all layers of blood threads. They were the same as lotus roots. Now his entire body was covered in blood threads, and they were also thicker than before. Could it be that the blood threads of the black lotus true body can also be cultivated? In the future, they will grow from the size of threads to the size of meridians, and if the countless blood threads can reach the size of meridians, wouldn't the toughness of the physical body be described as monstrous? It was too inconceivable. If the blood threads could be cultivated, every single blood thread would become sturdy. When such a powerful sword chi hacked into the flesh, it would be blocked by the blood threads one after another, neutralizing the enormous force. The sword chi couldn't cut through the flesh at all. Even splitting open the body would be a problem. But how many years would it take for the blood threads to reach the size of meridians? It was just a possibility. He smiled confidently and said, "It's a pity that such a treasure like 7 Star fell into my hands. God is on my side. This is my great luck. When 7 Star comes back, I will be strong and have mastered more divine powers. My abilities in all aspects will be better than now. By then, I will no longer be an ant." Su Fong was in disbelief when he looked at the golden core of origin. Why? Because part of the golden core and the Dantian had merged. Many blood threads seeped out of the golden core of origin, and the same blood threads seeped out of the Dantian. In the end, they merged, causing the golden core of origin and the Dantian to merge. I finally know why the golden core of origin was specially prepared for the Black Lotus true body. It turns out that the golden core's condensation method and energy are the same as the Black Lotus true body. The golden core will automatically merge with the Black Lotus true body. If this continues, one day, the golden core of origin will become my real golden core. By then, I will no longer be a vanity. But now that the golden core of origin has merged with the Dantian, it will help me cultivate the Black Lotus true body more easily. The changes in his physical body were shocking. He then sensed his lifespan. My lifespan has not fully recovered. I still need a few hundred years. I estimate that I will reach the normal lifespan after breaking through the young infant stage 2 or 3. But now, the shackles on my lifespan are not strong, and I can't sense it. As long as I don't use the Tianji life shrinking technique in the future, there won't be a big problem. Chi with a thought. Countless true Qi dissolved a large number of wounds in his body. He took out 2 immortal fruits, cut them into slices, and planted them in his wounds. He then swallowed the marrow-cleansing pill and the ice-sealing king's blood. He executed the 9 yang, 9 transformations, and merged with the extreme cold Qi. He began to discard all distracting thoughts. Cultivate wholeheartedly. Celestial Sealing Sect. Deep in the core training grounds. Forefather, your injuries have healed. A few years later, in the Celestial Sealing Sect, Prince Shue's palace, Xue Long was alone and respectfully waiting for Prince Xue to appear. Prince Xue was wearing a yellow robe, and there were no wounds on his body. His eyes were cold. I only suffered some superficial wounds. I used a bit of energy to fight with Fang Yu. Xuelong bowed. I don't understand. Why didn't you kill Fang Yu back then? The arena was the best chance to kill him. With forefather's strength, killing him would be easy. Now, you let the tiger return to the mountain. Not only did Fang Yu not die, he also became a disciple of the Honorable Tao. His position is the same as forefather's. How can you still kill him? If I really used my full strength against an imperishable Tao disciple, how can I establish myself in the 8 small worlds in the future? Furthermore, my enemy is not Fang Yu, but Huang Lingyao and Sheng Changsheng. Huang Lingyao's qi seems to have become weak recently, and Sheng Changsheng has been training outside. Who knows what kind of fortuitous encounters he has? Rather than spending my energy on dealing with an ordinary disciple, why not use it to fight for the leader's position? Prince Xue had great foresight. What about Fang Yu? Pass down the order. The members of the Crown Prince Society are not to openly oppose Fang Yu in the future. As for Fang Yu, I naturally won't let him live a good life. I have many ways to deal with him. I've traveled the 8 small worlds for 1,000 years. Do you think I don't have any friends? After a while, I'll invite friends from the myriad worlds to kill Fang Yu. No matter what, he's a disciple of the Honorable Tao. If he really dies at my hands, Huang Lingyao, Sheng Changsheng, and the other higher-ups who oppose me will take advantage of the situation. Forefather is wise. Don't just focus on Fang Yu. Tell your people to cultivate properly. Becoming stronger is the king's path. Don't think about being protected by me for the rest of your life. Prince Xue shouted coldly, reprimanding Xuelong before chasing him out of the hall. The crown prince and the others were waiting outside. When they saw Xuelong come out, they surrounded him and flew away. Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree. Since ancient times, countless experts, giants, and seniors have wanted to refine you. In the end, you will belong to me, Prince Xue. You will be my capital to become a leader. Not only will I become a leader, but I will also gain control of the immortal sealing gate. Only then will I be able to seize the world overlord position step by step. Once I become a world overlord, I won't be an ordinary immortal when I go to the outside world. Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree inside the hall. Prince Xue was currently drawing a huge tree of true qi. It was the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree of the Heavenly Gourd world. Everyone in the Zhuotian world knew that it was the most ancient source spirit tree. Crown Prince, the voice of an old man could be heard. Elder, I hope you can prepare to help me seize the Heavenly Gourd Spirit Tree in the future. If I accomplish such a shocking feat and become a world overlord in the future, The Xianjia Gate will also be mine. Prince Shui was secretly communicating with a mysterious will in another honorable Tao disciples training hall. Senior apprentice sister, let me continue cultivating with Su Fong. Lan Haiqing was standing in front of Huang Lingyao. The latter was emitting a cold qi, exuding the dignity of an honorable Tao disciple. Huang Lingyao nodded. The coronation ceremony is coming soon. I can see that Su Fong views Prince Shui as a powerful enemy that must be eliminated. I need you to stay by Su Fong's side and help me uncover his secrets. At the same time, you need to help him cultivate. Although he's stronger than you, he's inferior in other aspects. He's now an honorable Tao disciple. Won't he suspect my intentions? You'll have to figure out a way to get rid of his suspicions. Besides, Su Fong would love to use me to deal with Prince Shui. He's a smart guy, so you need to figure out a way to get him to lower his guard. Once we get rid of Prince Shui, it will be Su Fong's time to die. As an honorable Tao disciple with Su Fong's shocking potential, I don't want to kill one Prince Shui, only to have another Prince Shui appear. Do your best to help me get rid of Prince Shui. In the future, I'll make you an elder, and you'll join me in controlling the house of immortal bestowal. Before the coronation ceremony, I'll do everything in my power to help you recover from your injuries. You'll reach the peak of the third cycle of life seizing, and perhaps even the fourth division of tribulation. With that, Huang Lingyao left the hall. Lan Haiqing's eyes flickered, and then he bowed his head and left. I'm almost at the first division of the Yang Soul stage. However, my 3 Yang meridians are still not fully recovered. I'll need a few more years of cultivation before I'm back at my peak. Then I'll return to my secret immortals cave to work on my cultivation. With that, he absorbed his servants and junior magistrates. With that, he used a teleportation talisman to shoot off into the distance. A few breaths of time later, Feng Xingjin and Mo Fengjun, he said. From now on, the two of you don't need to follow me around. Focus on your cultivation in this secret immortals cave. You'll also be in charge of pill concocting. Go to the Wu-Tan world on my behalf and bring the majority of the Yang strengthening pills to the Moonset Mountains. Give them to Senior Li Zuqing and tell him to think of a way to start selling them there. Also, go to planet Killian. Secretly meet with the young master of the Gu clan, Gu Tianshou. Take my talisman with you and tell him that I want to work with him. I'll be visiting the Gu clan soon. After releasing the slaves, they no longer needed to stay in the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda. With that, Su Fong entered his private chamber to work on his cultivation. Chapter 465. A few years passed in the blink of an eye. Meteorite field, figure crossed the forest. It was Su Fong, who had been cultivating for several years. There are only a few months left until the conferring ceremony. It's time to return to the sect. He used the teleportation talisman and returned to the celestial ceiling sect in 3 breaths. Xinhua Dojo. The moment Su Fong entered the dojo, the upper echelons of the sect knew that he had returned. As soon as he arrived, Jin Changkong, Yin Kaifeng, and the other upper echelons arrived. After welcoming everyone in and taking their seats, Su Fong bowed respectfully. Senior brothers and sisters, the sect was about to summon you back. You picked the right time. With the help of the upper echelons of the sect, many of our disciples have built the conferring ceremony altar in the past few years. Now, the envoys from the distant continents outside the Crimson Sky continent have arrived first. Jin Changkong told him about the progress of the conferring ceremony. Su Fong listened attentively and only responded briefly. This made the upper echelons of the sect realize that Su Fong had changed a little in the past 10 years. He suddenly had the aura of an expert. The sect also has requirements for you. Last time, you were the sect master. Now, you are a disciple of the sect. After the conferring ceremony, the sect plans to send some disciples to you. They are all very talented disciples of the sect. You will lead them to some dangerous places to train. Completing the training is also a mission. As a disciple of the sect, you also need to accumulate merit points. After chatting for a while, Jin Changkong proposed a mission. Elder, don't worry. As long as it's a mission arranged by the sect, I will do my best to cooperate. Su Fong made his stance clear in front of everyone. Jin Changkong left, satisfied. After resting for a while, many disciples of the sect who had been acquainted with Su Fong came to visit the Xianyue dojo. Since they had become a disciple of the sect, they had to maintain relationships with the sect. Therefore, they allowed anyone to enter the Xianyue dojo. Senior Sister Huanyun. Qian Huanyun picked an afternoon to come with a few female disciples. Su Fong gave Qian Huanyun enough face. Not only did he welcome her personally, but he also treated the female disciples she brought with her. Although Su Fong had something to say to Qian Huanyun now, she could clearly sense that Qian Huanyun's tone had changed. She used to be a high and mighty disciple, but what about now? After sending Qian Huanyun away, even Fu Tian Shun came to visit him alone. When Su Fong saw him, he sighed. He came to the dojo to ask about Su Fong's well-being, but in reality, he was worried that Su Fong, who was a disciple of Zun Dao, still remembered the godly power cauldron and wanted to find a way to take it back. It was just a barbarian marked divine force cauldron. It could help little yellow cultivate the divine supreme force, but in the end, it was just a Dharma treasure. Su Fong did not lack Dharma treasures now. Soon, the great elder's consciousness descended. It turned out that the leader, Ling Mubai, wanted to formally summon Su Fong. After making his preparations, he activated the rune talisman and entered the secret door. After traveling for a while, the wills of the three elders appeared before him. However, Huang Lingyao, Prince Shui, the great elder's consciousness was still a little vague. As the door stopped, Su Fong saw two people in front of a hall condensed by clouds. He did not want to see them, but he had to. Junior brother Fong. Huang Lingyao stood in the spiritual fog and bowed to Su Fong first. Senior sister. Su Fong came to the front of the hall and bowed to Prince Shui as usual. Senior brother Shui. Greetings, Crown Prince Shui coldly replied. His gaze shifted to the other side. Su Fong, you see? Prince Shui hates you to the core. Huang Lingyao secretly released her consciousness and pretended that she was not familiar with Su Fong. You have to get rid of him as soon as possible. Otherwise, when he integrates with the heavenly gourd spirit tree, he will definitely attack you first in the future. He can integrate with the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Su Fong was secretly shocked. No one can say for sure. Didn't you also come out of the Xianjia Gate alive? The heavenly gourd spirit tree is the origin spirit tree of the Zhuotian world. Many experts have tried their best to refine it. Prince Shui is very likely. He has the power of an immortal behind him. No matter what, the heavenly gourd spirit tree is still an item of the mortal world. It can resist the power of an immortal. Senior apprentice sister's words are reasonable. I once went there to train, and I've also seen the power of the heavenly gourd spirit tree, let alone the spirit tree. Even the spirit gourd is a magic treasure that the cultivators of the Zhuotian realm yearn for even in their dreams. Senior apprentice sister doesn't want to see Crown Prince Shui become powerful, right? I wonder if senior apprentice sister has any plans? I'll just stop Prince Shui from integrating with the heavenly gourd spirit tree. This is not easy to do. I have to arrange people to inquire about Prince Shui's every move. After figuring it out, I'll destroy him at the most critical moment when he integrates with the heavenly gourd spirit tree. Senior sister, as long as you decide to take action, I'll do my best to help you. Let's have a good chat when we have time. Since we want to deal with Prince Shui, there are many things that need to be discussed at length. Coincidentally, the last venerated Dao disciple has returned. The frosty Huang Lingyao retracted her consciousness and looked towards the sky behind her. Could it be Sheng Changshen? Su Fong also looked over. She found that Prince Shui was also looking at the sky. Buzz. While she was curious, she didn't expect the purple chi law spirit hidden in the depths of her right arm to react. Moreover, it was very strong. Her right arm was shaking. What's going on? This was the first time the purple chi law spirit had such a reaction. Master, Xian Huang, 6 paths pagoda appeared in her divine aperture. She was incomparably surprised. It's the third part of the purple chi law spirit. It's approaching from not far away. The third part of the purple Qi Law spirit? Impossible. Then, the one approaching is one of the three venerated Tao disciples of the celestial sealing sect, Sheng Changsheng. Could the purple Qi Law spirit be on him? He didn't expect it to be the last purple Qi Law spirit. In fact, it wasn't that he didn't expect it. It was just that he wasn't mentally prepared. Suddenly, there was news of the last purple Qi Law spirit. Her pupils contracted. Sword Sage, that's right. I sensed a little bit of the purple Qi Law spirit on Sword Sage's body. He's a high-level member of the Stone Saint Society. Naturally, Sheng Changsheng is the leader. There's no mistake. Sword Sage's purple Qi Law spirit came from Sheng Changsheng's body. The figure of a yellow-clothed man appeared at her eyes. It was a very young yellow-clothed youth who was only around 10 years old. He had a head of smooth black hair and a slender, handsome face. Sheng Changsheng, one of the three venerated Tao disciples and the leader of the Stone Saint Society. He didn't expect it to be such a young man. Buzz. The purple Qi Law spirit in his right arm was constantly trembling. It couldn't be fake. He quickly released the seal and hid the purple Qi Law spirit again. If he didn't hide it, Sheng Changsheng would be able to sense the purple Qi Law spirit in Su Feng's body. If that really happened, Su Feng would be instantly killed. Looking at Sheng Changsheng from a closer distance, he found that his facial features were sharp and cold. His jet-black eyes shone with a light that could see through the depths of space. His every move had the lofty aura of an elder. If Prince Shui was the aura of royalty, and Huang Lingyao was the ice-snow fairy, then Sheng Changsheng was an expert born from heaven and earth. The three venerated Tao disciples gathered together, each with their own merits. He was truly worthy of being the representative of the immortal sealing sect. Sheng Changsheng only nodded indifferently to Prince Shui and Huang Lingyao. He looked at Su Feng a few more times. This is Junior Apprentice Brother Feng Yu. I am Feng Yu. Greetings, Senior Apprentice Brother Sheng. Su Feng bowed. Sheng Changsheng's aura was so faint that the latter couldn't sense it. To be able to force Junior Apprentice Brother Shui to a draw, you are indeed qualified to be one of us. Come in. Ling Mubai's voice came from within the palace. The mist around them scattered, and the palace appeared in front of the four of them. The four of them entered the temple, which was a spirit object dimension that quickly transformed into a holy temple. There were numerous jade pillars floating in the air, each of which was carved with a different person. Many of the jade pillars were covered with true text, all of which contained the profundities of the 7 great divine abilities of the House of Immortal Sealing. Leader Ling Mubai sat cross-legged on the throne, fusing with the aura released by the jade pillar. His aura blended perfectly with the aura of the hall. He was indeed worthy of being called the strongest person in the celestial sealing sect. Most likely, he could kill the 4 disciples of the path of revered with a single thought. Sheng Changsheng. None of this was important to Su Feng. The only thing he paid attention to was Sheng Changsheng. He didn't understand why the violet spirit would be in Sheng Changsheng's body. Could it be that back in the state of Zhao Wuji had given it to Yuan Tianzong, and Yuan Tianzong had brought it back to the immortal sealing sect and directly given it to Sheng Changsheng? Perhaps Yuan Tianzong secretly gave the violet spirit to Sheng Changsheng without letting the sect know. Or perhaps he gave it to the sect, and, in the end, the sect gave it to Sheng Changsheng. I need to figure this out first. Fortunately, now that I know where the violet spirit is, I have a target. It seems the immortal sealing sect's 3 venerated Tao disciples, Prince Shui and Sheng Changsheng, are my targets. As for Huang Lingyao, she's using me as a chess piece. Those 3 venerated Tao disciples are all Su Feng's enemies. Su Feng was standing on the left. Whether it was his aura or posture, he couldn't compare to the 3 venerated Tao disciples on the right. But in Su Feng's eyes, those 3 were his future enemies. That was reality. They didn't have any allies. The 3 venerated Tao disciples all had their own factions. They also had many higher-ups secretly supporting them. Of the immortal sealing sect's 3 venerated Tao disciples, Prince Shui is the most arrogant. Then there's Huang Lingyao. Sheng Changsheng is the most low-key one. The violet spirit is so extraordinary, but the crown prince didn't get it. That means he's definitely outstanding. Once I figure out his background, I'll be able to deal with him. I know you're all cultivating. The reason I summoned you back for Fang Yu is so that you can get to know each other during the grand ceremony. In the future, we'll all be disciples of the exalted Tao. You have to put the sect first. I don't want you to establish a faction that surpasses the sect, and the elder group won't agree to that. The four venerated Tao disciples listen quietly. The venerated Tao disciples represent the immortal sealing sect. Fang Yu, you still need to work hard on your cultivation. But seeing you today, I'm pleasantly surprised. After 10 years, you've already stepped into the Yang Soul realm. Su Fang took a step forward. It's all because of the fortuitous encounter in the immortal sealing sect and the sect's nurturing. That's why I'm here today. Ling Mubai flicked his finger and said, "It's good to be humble, but as a disciple of the Honorable Tao, you should still have a certain amount of confidence and dignity. This is a rune talisman that I have left for you. There is a marrow cleansing force inside, as well as a shuttling restriction. This restriction can ensure that you can use the shuttling restriction to escape when you're being chased by a big shot. The marrow cleansing force can help you advance to the next level in a short period of time. There is also the essence of the 7 great mystical abilities inside the rune talisman." Thank you, leader. There was a rune talisman in the Xianguang that Su Fang had shot over. It was a rune talisman given by the immortal sealing sect's leader, who stood at the peak of the immortal sealing sect in the Zhuotian realm. This was especially true when it came to traversing through restrictions. It could withstand the pursuit of any catastrophe tycoon and allow them to escape with their lives. This was equivalent to Ling Mubai directly helping them. After Ling Mubai nodded, the 4 of them bowed and left the hall. At this moment, Ling Mubai's thoughts entered Su Fang's mind. Find some time to study the immortal sealing sect. If the immortal sealing sect can become the sect's magic treasure, it'll definitely be the strongest force in the Zhuotian domain. You made a great contribution. The position of leader in the future may also be yours. The position of leader, a great temptation. Chapter 466. Ling Mubai, send me a message. Interesting. The position of future leader is clearly decided by whoever obtains the Xinjia Gate for the Celestial Sealing Sect. Of course, it won't be as easy as it seems. For example, why is the Violet Qi Law Spirit in Sheng Changsheng's body? That's a question I have to find out. He left the leader's hall. As Su Fang pondered this, the 3 Tao Paragon's disciples entered the door of wonder and returned to their respective Taoist temples. Xianhua Taoist Temple. When he returned, he activated the talisman. On the other side of the talisman, Exalted Master Yu Zhen sent a message. "Master, why are you looking for me?" Su Fang's expression changed. "I just found the Violet Qi Law Spirit. It's in Sheng Changsheng's body. Do you know anything about him?" This subordinate has just met Sheng Changsheng for the first time. Although I don't know much about Sheng Changsheng, his qi is very strange. I feel like I've seen him somewhere before, especially when he has the Celestial Sealing Sect's core energy. I don't know how many elders of the Celestial Sealing Sect have cleansed him. According to common sense, a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect shouldn't have that kind of core energy. Since Master wants the Violet Qi Law Spirit, then I'll intentionally get closer to Sheng Changsheng. The 3 disciples of the Tao of Venerables all want to become future leaders. They must find out more about the secrets of the Xinjia Gate from you and me. That's our bargaining chip. Exalted Master Yu Zhen analyzed. You have to figure out why the Violet Qi Law Spirit is in one of Sheng Changsheng's disciples. The Celestial Sealing Sect should have discovered how extraordinary the Violet Qi Law Spirit is. That kind of treasure should be protected by the Celestial Sealing Sect. In any case, for it to appear in Sheng Changsheng's body, there must be some secret. You should cultivate well during this time. Make good use of your power as a Grand Elder. Is the Celestial Sealing Sect taking any action against the Xinjia Gate? Of course. The elders have been studying that Dao Tier pearl. They discovered the special high-level aura of the immortal Jia Gate. They've confirmed that the pearl came from the immortal Jia Gate. Now, with me as the center, we're going to have a gathering once a month. Everyone will study the Dao Tier pearl together, as well as all the treasures the immortal sealing sect has collected from the immortal Jia Gate. It seems the immortal sealing sect must obtain the immortal Jia Gate. This information is very important to me. I'll leave the celestial sealing sect to you. Once the conferring ceremony is over, I'll have to think of a way to increase my strength. Perhaps I'll go to the Wutan world or the Qi-Lian planet. I'll also search for the distant Tiangang world. Master, don't worry. I will also use the resources of the celestial sealing gate to catch up to Shaoyin and Daoist Wuzhen. The inscriptions returned to normal, and everything quieted down. Once I get the third part, I'll leave the immortal sealing school. At that time, I'll definitely kill Sheng Chongxing. He's a disciple of the exalted Dao. If I kill him, then I'll become an enemy of the immortal sealing school. He began to cultivate, devouring the icebound king's blood, and absorbing the celestial sealing sect's core. The Xinhua Dao right was located at the core of the Dao right. It was filled with spiritual qi, and it was perfect for Su Fong to cultivate and restore his 3 yang meridians to full energy. About 3 months later, during this time, Su Fong sealed the Dao right and didn't receive anyone. But today, he took the initiative to open the seal because the higher-ups of the Frozen Moon Grotto had arrived under Jin Chongkong's lead. Fong Yu, there's still a month until the conferring ceremony. Right now, the envoys of the various righteous Dao factions from the Immortal Sealing Sect have mostly arrived. The conferring ceremony is a kind of ceremony that will end in a few days. I've come to find you today regarding the matter I mentioned last time. The Frozen Moon Grotto has already selected over 100 disciples, from the immortal to the undying. After the conferring ceremony, you'll be taking them away from the Crimson Firmament continent and going to another continent to gain experience for a while. Jin Chongkong spoke of his intentions. Assigning this mission to you so quickly is actually for your own good. If you can quickly complete this mission and gain merit for the sect, I'm sure the higher-ups of the sect will recognize your current status. Many thanks for Elder's painstaking arrangements. Disciple will definitely complete this mission and won't let anything happen to a single disciple. Su Fong decisively agreed. As for the details of the mission, once the conferring ceremony is over, I'll arrange it for you. All right, we still have to go receive those envoys. Jin Chongkong led the higher-ups away from the Dao Right. After cultivating for several more days, a rune appeared. It came from Huang Lingyao. Junior apprentice brother, right now there are many disciples in the sect who want to join you. They can all see that your future accomplishments are limitless, and they hope to follow you and join your faction. Huang Lingyao straightforwardly said, "You have to think carefully about the matter of factions. I've already found a few Calamity Realm disciples for you. It'll be your coronation ceremony soon. If you don't have any disciples by your side, those envoys will ignore you. Senior apprentice sister, I'll do as you say." Su Fong simply put on a completely obedient appearance. "I'll have Haicheng bring them to your Xinhua Dao Right. There's also one more thing. I'm worried that the Crown Prince faction will find a chance to kill you once you leave the sect. That's why I'll have Haicheng accompany you in the future and protect you in secret. I don't want Prince Shui to kill you off so easily. Your overall strength might surpass Haicheng's, but you're lacking in other areas. No problem. Senior apprentice sister Lan is very strong. She was a great help to me in the Wutan realm. You can secretly find some extraordinary disciples and have them secretly contact you. Gradually, you'll be able to display your faction's power in the sect. If you have any needs or problems, just tell Haicheng. I'll do my best to help you." Huang Lingyao's voice was still lofty and domineering. He put away the rune talisman. Less than 2 hours later, there was the sound of wind breaking outside. There were a total of 8 Calamity Realm auras, and Su Fong instantly recognized Lan Haicheng's aura. Lan Haicheng activated a restriction and brought the 7 Calamity Realm core disciples to the main hall. Through Lan Haicheng's introduction, these people had once cultivated in different grotto heavens. Once they reached the Yang Soul realm, they would come to the core Tao right under different masters. The core Tao right wasn't divided into the 7 grotto heavens. But in truth, the disciples that cultivated in the 7 grotto heavens were still secretly controlled by the 7 grotto heavens. We're lucky to be able to follow Senior Apprentice Brother Fong. In the future, we'll follow Senior Apprentice Brother Fong and establish the sect's 4th major faction. Moreover, Senior Apprentice Brother has the protection of Grand Elder Yu. Once our faction is established, it won't be any worse than the Crown Prince faction or the Stone Saint faction. After Lan Haiqing's introduction, the 7 Calamity Realm experts all stood up and expressed their loyalty to Su Fong. Although Su Fong seemed happy and welcomed them to follow him, he knew that these 7 people should be Huang Lingyao's people who had secretly sent them here. Although they said they were helping him establish a faction, they were actually establishing a faction that belonged to her. These 7 people's cultivation bases range from the 1st to the 5th Calamity Realm. They're pretty good fighters. If I don't use my magical treasures, I won't be their match just by relying on my strength. It's not a bad thing to have these people as a front. Su Fong inwardly analyzed. He swept his gaze over the 7 people. They were all stronger than him, and they were even core disciples of the immortal sealing gate. The only thing that worried Su Fong was that these 7 people's allegiance was fake. They were clearly chess pieces sent by Huang Lingyao to monitor his every move. Their goal shouldn't be so simple. I've thought about it. My faction will be called the Heaven Crossing Faction. The 7 of you will be senior members. I'll give you a mission now. Take these resources and go to the sect to recruit people. It's best if they're Yang Soul or Calamity Realm disciples. You don't need to worry about resources. Even Calamity Realm core disciples like you have plenty of treasures here. Su Fong sat at the top, looking mighty. He took out 7 empty bags and placed them in the 7 people's hands. He also took out 7 Calamity Realm life-seizing recreating pills. Wow, life-seizing recreating pills. The 7 of them had never imagined that a cultivator who had just stepped into the Yang Soul realm would have the life-seizing recreating pills that Calamity Realm cultivators dreamed of. I'll give you 710 pills first. If you work hard for me in the future, you won't be lacking in resources and benefits. I'm not strong, and my cultivation base isn't high, but I have plenty of resources. He took out a total of 70 life-seizing recreating pills and gave them to them. Everyone was pleasantly surprised to be able to obtain benefits from Su Fong. Even if they were to break their heads, they would never have imagined such a scene. Of these 7, that Tan Chi fellow is the strongest. He's at the 5th Calamity Realm, and his cultivation base is even higher than Lan Haiqing's. He might even be part of the upper echelon of the Fragrant Jade faction. Su Fong sized up one of the middle-aged men. That man's cultivation base was the highest. He didn't seem to have any heirs, but his strength was deeply hidden. He secretly released his will. Senior Apprentice Sister, do you have something to say to me? Senior Apprentice Sister wants me to help you establish the Skysoar faction in the future. I'll also go out with you to cultivate and help you increase your strength. Lan Haiqing broke his silence and released his will. Tan Chi and those 7 fellows are members of the Fragrant Jade faction, right? Su Fong went straight to the point. How do you know? The latter didn't understand. It's not hard to know. Tan Chi and the others don't seem to be close to the Fragrant Jade faction on the surface. They're the elites that Huang Lingyao arranged for them to be stationed in different training halls in the sect. I don't want to make things difficult for Senior Apprentice Sister. I'm already very clear about this matter. I also know what Huang Lingyao is planning, so I'll just go with the flow and do as she says. We'll talk about this after the ceremony. I'll first help the Skysoar faction recruit people. Lan Haiqing and the 7 of them quickly left. Su Fong watched them leave. Everything was clear in his heart. On this day, the outer barrier of the immortal sealing sect had almost disappeared. The blue sky was boundless. Only a gentle breeze blew the spirit clouds across the training hall. On the outer training hall, a huge altar was built on the immortal seeking peak. The entire altar was a square. Hundreds of thousands of immortal sealing sect disciples and tens of thousands of representatives from the 8 righteous path forces gathered around the square. There were 4 largest continents in the Zhuitian realm. There were countless sections. The righteous path, the evil path, the demonic path, and the demon path all had powerful forces in this land. Upon closer inspection, each force only sent 20 to 30 people. All of them were in the catastrophe realm. None of them were in the Yang Soul realm. Some of them were very powerful, even surpassing the catastrophe realm. The Frozen Moon Grotto Heaven disciples were in charge of receiving everyone. Early in the morning, they served various spirit fruits, nectar, and pure essence pills. When it was close to noon, the upper echelons of the immortal sealing sect all arrived at the center. Jin Chankong presided over the main hall. When exalted cultivator Yuezhen appeared and officially announced the Grand Elder, it attracted the attention of the various forces. Su Fong was waiting at the back. He used his perfection stage ability to let him hear the private discussions of many forces. The one who talked the most was not exalted cultivator Yuezhen. Instead, it was exalted cultivator Yuezhen, who had been imprisoned for thousands of years and came out alive from the immortal sealing sect. He definitely knew the secrets of the immortal sealing sect. These forces concluded that exalted cultivator Yuezhen knew many secrets of the immortal sealing sect. Moreover, there is no doubt that he was the one who understood the immortal sealing sect the most in the Zhuitian realm. Chapter 467. Exalted cultivator Yuezhen came to the top of the altar. After Jin Zhangkong's grand introduction, the envoys of the 8 forces stood up and congratulated him. These people are actually here for Xinjia Gate, which means they are here for exalted cultivator Yuezhen. Su Fong could clearly see the expressions and gazes of the experts from the various factions. Sure enough, as he extended his great perfection stage powers further, he could hear the whispers of countless forces. This is the ancient elder who came out alive from the Xinjia Gate. We came for him. If he can come out of the Xinjia Gate, he must know the secret of the Xinjia Gate. Fortunately, his strength is still at the level of an ordinary elder. If we can capture him and obtain the secret of the Xinjia Gate, our sect will be able to obtain the Xinjia Gate. Don't be too loud. It won't be good if the immortal sealing sect hears us. The experts from various powers had indeed come for Xinjia sect and exalted Master Yuezhen. These forces came from the Crimson Sky continent. There were the Ziwei Star sect, the True Spell Sacred sect, the Heavenly Solitary Mountain, the Divine Martial Sacred Mountain, the Broken Sword sect, the All Saints sect of Green Mountain, and even the Twin Immortal sect. There were also forces from the Zuanv Pavilion, the Blue Cloud sect, the Snow Saints Cave, and so on. Su Fong deliberately looked for the Zuanv Pavilion, but unfortunately, he did not see any familiar faces. He had thought that Xiaomei would come as well, but how could that be? One had to know that the emissaries were all in the Calamity Realm. The Starfish Sky Island had also sent many forces. There was the powerful Carefree School, the Million Treasures Path that Su Fong was familiar with, and the 100 Medicine sect that specialized in alchemy. There were also many other forces. Only the Demon King continent was missing. That was the world of demons and devils. For example, the 100 Demons sect, Demon Worship sect, and Earth Fiend sect were all sects that gave the Righteous Path headaches. However, the Devil King continent also had Righteous Tao factions. Today, a few of them had arrived. From the looks of it, to be able to survive in the Devil King continent, these Righteous Tao factions must have a shocking foundation. Other than the 4 continents, there were also many island factions that were based in the depths of the water. These factions were comparable to second-rate factions in the continents. There were no emissaries of the Supreme God sect in Su Fong. It seemed that in the eyes of the Righteous Path, the Supreme God sect was already an evil sect. The exalted Master Yuezhen's promotion to First Elder took half a day. It was late in the afternoon before it was Su Fong's turn. Jin Chankong introduced him to the tall platform. Once the ceremony was over, Su Fong spoke in front of everyone. The content of the ceremony revolved around the three words, immortal sealing school. One sentence was about being nurtured by the sect, and the other was about thanking the sect for nurturing him. In just 2 hours, the conferring ceremony was over. In the celestial sealing sect at night, the disciples of the frozen moon cave heaven were still in charge of receiving the various envoys. Black Moon Dojo Tan Shi and the 6 experts brought a dozen Yang Soul and Catastrophe disciples to visit Su Fong. The few of them did things very quickly. The strength of the dozen or so people they pulled over was not bad. If this continued, the number of members of the Sky Crossing Party would only increase. There were also envoys from other forces who came to visit Su Fong. With Tan Shi and other figures following them, it also showed Su Fong's status as a venerable Tao disciple. A few days later, the conferring ceremony came to an end. Within Black Moon Dojo, there were dozens of Sky Crossing Party members living in the nearby palaces. Su Fong called the strongest person, Tan Shi, in front of him. Tan Shi, I have something for you to do. These people made things difficult for me when I first entered the dojo. Take a few people with you and take back their tokens. Chase them out of the sect. One of them is called Lu Han. Bring me some pure yuan pills. Yes. Tan Shi immediately flew out of the hall. Su Fong sensed that Tan Shi brought a few people with him and left Black Moon Dojo. It's time to show the power of a venerable Tao disciple to the entire sect. I can't just endure it. As for those disciples who once offended me, even if they were unlucky, they didn't end up with their cultivation crippled. It's already very fortunate that they were able to leave the immortal sealing school safely. Su Fong smiled faintly. He changed the sealing formation, isolating the main hall from the other palaces. He couldn't let those members have a chance to spy on the main hall. Sky Crossing Party. In another venerable Tao disciples' territory, the Crown Prince, Shui Lung, and a group of experts were reporting to Prince Shui. Prince Shui was very puzzled. With Fong Yu's influence and ability, he shouldn't have been able to establish the Sky Crossing Party so quickly. It seems someone is secretly helping him. Shui Lung was extremely shocked. Could be Elder Yu? I heard that Elder Yu cleansed Fong Yu's body in Xinjia Gate. That's why he's able to contend against the ancestor. That's not very likely. Recently, Elder Yu has been discussing important matters with the Elder Council. Furthermore, he hasn't contacted Fong Yu in private. It's impossible for Elder Yu to openly support party, but we can't rule out that possibility. My relationship with Elder Yu is getting closer and closer. Perhaps I can rope him in. Ancestor, I heard that Elder Yu controls the secrets of Xinjia Gate. If he can protect you, wouldn't you be able to obtain Xinjia Gate for the sect? At that time, the position of leader will definitely be yours. Elder Yu is the great elder. He won't easily trust anyone. Fong Yu accidentally entered Xinjia Gate. Normally, he wouldn't trust or care for Su Fong. It's the same for me. I can only try my best to think of a way to make him support me. Ancestor, what should we do next? Don't make any moves. Let's observe Fong Yu's movements first. The Sky Crossing Party won't be able to expand in a short period of time and become a threat to us. Prince Shui seemed very confident and had a plan. On this day, Xinhua Training Grounds, Jin Changkong, Yin Kaifeng, and the other higher-ups arrived at the training grounds. Within Main Hall, Jin Changkong and Su Fong sat opposite each other. Only the sect master, the sovereign, the elders, and the venerable Tao disciples had the right to sit here. He asked, "The ceremony is over. Are you ready?" Disciple is ready. I can carry out the mission at any time. Su Fong knew that the higher-ups had come for the mission. This mission was originally to go to the Demon King continent to gain experience. However, most of the people there are devils. Although there are also righteous factions, there are too many unsafe factors. In the end, we decided to go to the Snow Wind continent to gain experience. There are many dangerous places on the Snow Wind continent, and there are more than 10 foreign lands. Jin Changkong said solemnly, "The biggest, dangerous place is called the Forbidden Snow Forest. That place is similar to the heavenly Gore Domain, and there are many treasures there. This time, you will bring over 100 disciples to the Forbidden Snow Forest to gain experience. The time limit is 3 to 5 years. Snow Wind Continent. He was slightly startled, and his heart was filled with anticipation. Zuin Pavilion is in the Snow Wind Continent. During this training, I can go to Zuin Pavilion to see Mei Air. Do you have any questions? Seeing Su Fong fall silent, Jin Chongkong asked again. Su Fong immediately nodded. Disciple has no questions. It's just that I've never been to the Snow Wind Continent before. I've heard that the majority of the continent is covered in snow all year round. There are even some places where it snows all year round. There are also many powerful sects there. There are many powerful sects in the Snow Wind Continent. The Zuin Pavilion and the Blue Cloud sect are the strongest. This time, I'll give you another mission. You are to represent your sect and go observe those two sections. In other words, it's an exchange. In truth, I want you to bring your disciples to see the splendor of those two sections. There is some history you need to know. The Zuin Pavilion has been established for nearly 100,000 years, while our immortal sealing sect has only been around for less than 20,000 years. Our foundation and history can't compare to the Zuin Pavilion. Going to observe them will definitely benefit you and everyone else. As for the Blue Cloud sect, they are even more incredible. They have been established for over 100,000 years. In our Crimson Firmament continent, only the Ziwei Star sect can compare to them. The Blue Cloud sect's foundation is too shocking. In over 100,000 years, how many Taoist arts and cultivation essences have been left behind? Although my sect is known as a first-rate power in the Zhuotian world, overall, there is still a certain gap between us and the Blue Cloud sect. Another reason for going to the Snow Wind Continent to train is for you to bring your disciples to interact with those two sections. After all, you're a newly promoted disciple and a representative of your sect. If you go to the Snow Wind Continent and don't go to those two sects, wouldn't be right. Jin Chongkong spoke tirelessly. Then disciple will go to the Snow Wind Continent to pay a visit to those two sects before going to the Forbidden Snow Forest to train. Su Fong had already heard the purpose of this training. You should also go to a wider continent to broaden your horizons. I'll give you 3 days to prepare. 3 days later, we'll gather at the celestial touching heaven. After talking for a while, they left. Maya, Su Fong rarely looked forward to meeting someone like this. 3 days passed very quickly. Before leaving the Xinhua Daoist rite, he gathered Tan Shi and the others and told them to continue recruiting disciples to join the Heaven Crossing sect. If anyone dared to offend the Heaven Crossing sect, they had to remember them for now and wait for him to return. He also secretly bid farewell to Huang Lingyao and Lan Haiqing. This time, he was bringing his disciples out to train, so Huang Lingyao didn't force Lan Haiqing to come along. Celestial touching Heaven-Frozen Moon Grotto's main hall. Everyone, stop talking about senior apprentice Brother Fong. Although his realm isn't as high as ours, he was able to fight to a draw with Prince Shui. That's his strength. Now that he's a sovereign disciple, if you don't treat him politely, you might be punished. More than 100 disciples were waiting outside the main hall. They were all secretly discussing. It wasn't until Jin Chongkong, Yin Kaifeng, and the other higher-ups led Su Fong out of the main hall that everyone quieted down. There are many familiar faces. Su Fong glanced around. There were too many familiar faces among the 100 or so people. The world was too small, and the same rite was even smaller. Familiar faces included Qian Huanyun, Lin Yining, Lu Wei, Zheng Daoxin, Huang Lingyun, Hua Tianyuan, Wang Meng, Yi Guren, and even Fu Tianxin. Although most of them hadn't interacted with each other before, they weren't unfamiliar faces. These people had only seen Su Fong for a few decades. Once they were much stronger than Su Fong, but now they could only look up to Su Fong. Jin Chongkong sternly ordered everyone to listen to Su Fong's orders. He especially reminded them that Su Fong was a sovereign disciple and had the power to kill any disciple. Finally, Su Fong gave the order and went to the front to say goodbye to the higher-ups. He led the 100 or so disciples out of the Celestial Sealing sect. 3 months later, above the vast water region, more than 100 figures stepped on flying swords and flew in the air. We just brushed past the ruins of the spirit sect. I estimate that we still have half a month before we reach the snow wind continent. At the front, Su Fong didn't step on a flying sword. He directly flew in the air. It was unknown how vast his energy was, but he could still fly in the water region with just his physical body. The 100 or so people behind him were divided into 3 large square formations. Each square formation had a Yang Soul Realm disciple in charge of protecting the longevity disciples. Although there were very few longevity disciples, they couldn't slack off. After taking out a map to compare, they continued flying and immediately saw many scattered islands. Su Fong gave the order, and all the disciples excitedly flew toward the islands. To be able to see islands in the water region was like seeing rain after a long drought. When everyone landed, Su Fong immediately threw out a large number of sealing runes. A formation instantly enveloped the disciples. Then, he gave the order to dozens of Yang Soul Realm disciples. All Yang Soul Realm disciples are responsible for patrolling the island. Also, go to the other islands and see if you can find some spirit fruits. Don't go too far. Yes, everyone replied and flew around the island in 2s and 3s. The rest of you, cultivate on the spot. Don't leave the island casually. Rest for 2 days before going out. After giving the order to the other disciples, Su Fong went to the depths of the island. He floated above the forest and sensed the movements in the water region. Chapter 468. With his perfect fleshly body, none of the disciples' breathing or heartbeat could escape Su Fong's ears. Whoosh! Su Fong melted a large number of wounds on his body and planted the 2 slices of immortal fruit into the wounds. Traces of blood from the Black Lotus true body could be seen on the wounds. Even if Su Fong did not deliberately use his physical body, the traces of blood from the Black Lotus true body would heal the wounds quickly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Su Fong released his young nascent soul and came to Bai Ling. Actually, Sister Bai, you can come out and cultivate with me. No one knows who I am now. Really? Bai Ling was shocked. If I say you can, then you can. I was worried that the Zhao family would recognize us, so I'll let you cultivate in the Xinhuang space. Since I have suppressed the Zhao family, what are you afraid of? With that, a Xinguang swept Bai Ling out of the Xinhuang space. Bai Ling gently spread her snow-white wings, and a heavenly necklace on her neck could be vaguely seen. It's so comfortable. The vast waters, the infinite world. I thought that I would have to stay in Tianmen province for the rest of my life and be someone's mount. Now I'm very powerful, especially my speed. I have left the human young nascent soul cultivators far behind. Bai Ling happily circled around. After a while, she came to Su Fong's side to cultivate. She did not transform into her human form. If she did, the big goblin's identity would be exposed. Boom! The next day, suddenly, a huge explosion came from outside the island. What happened? It seems to be a shifter aura. What a shocking shifter aura. Many disciples flew out of the array. They stepped on their flying swords and came to the sky above the island. They looked ahead and saw a purple-red aura burning in the waters a few miles away. It seemed to be a small island. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few Yang-souled disciples flew over and shouted in the sky, "Senior Brother Fong, something bad has happened." A few senior brothers have encountered a water demon on the small island ahead. The water demon is very powerful and is at least at the high level of the Yang Soul realm. Senior brother, please go and help. Didn't I tell you all not to go too far? The illusory figure, sitting on a pair of snow-white wings, came out from the clouds. It was Su Fong. He did not look surprised at all. One of the Yang-souled disciples hastily bowed. We don't know either. Those water demons are very powerful. They've surrounded several senior martial brothers, and I'm afraid they won't be able to kill their way out in a short time. If more water demons come, Su Fong sat on Bai Ling's back. In silence, he suddenly shouted coldly, "These people disobeyed my orders and left the island without my permission, attracting the water demon. They brought it upon themselves. Since we are from the same sect, I will go and have a look. All the disciples will go with me." Senior apprentice brother, that water monster is extremely powerful. I don't think it's appropriate to let other junior apprentice brothers and sisters go, said a young soul disciple. Those few aquatic demons can't do anything to me. Whoosh after that, Bai Ling spread his wings and carried Su Fong in a beautiful arc in the air. When did he catch a white crane? Why aren't you going to watch the show? I'm not going. I'm a bit scared of the water demon. The disciples hesitated, but most of them followed on their flying swords under the protection of the young soul disciples. The remaining disciples did not dare to leave the island. Su Fong flew out of the clouds and looked down. Sure enough, he saw a water demon releasing a purple demonic aura. It was half human and half demonic, and its body was covered in a thick carapace. It sprayed out a large amount of water, and its power reached the peak of the Yang Soul realm. Furthermore, the water formed a whirlpool that surrounded the 5 Yang Soul disciples. Because the speed of the water was too fast and the amount was too shocking, the 5 Yang Soul disciples were unable to kill their way out. There was also demonic aura above them, so the situation was not good. Soon, many Yang Soul disciples rushed over. They came to Su Fong's side. Senior apprentice brother, let's work together. Su Fong said sternly, the 5 of you disobeyed my orders and left the island without my permission. Do you know your mistakes? It's Fong Yu. It's fine if he doesn't attack, but he even put on airs in front of everyone. Don't say any more. I'm afraid we won't be able to last much longer. After all, he's the leader this time. We can't afford to offend him. He can watch us die without helping. With so many disciples as witnesses, if we're killed by the water demon, he won't be able to escape punishment from the sect. After the 5 trapped disciples heard this, they actually ignored him and did not reply. They controlled their magic treasures and their flying swords. Their zenith heaven sword chi flowed smoothly, forming a sword net to resist the encirclement of the demonic aura. Su Fong turned to look at the 100 disciples. Interesting. Listen up. No one is allowed to attack unless they ask for help themselves. It seems they can deal with that water demon. Senior apprentice brother, it's not good to drag this out. Some young soul disciples objected. I'll say it again. You must obey my orders. If any of you feel my words have no weight, then stand up. It's that simple. Once he said that, no one dared to say anything. About an hour later, the island below was almost completely covered by the water whirlpool. The 5 disciples still did not say anything. Suddenly, a purple bubble appeared on the other side of the water. With a whoosh, another half-human, half-demonic water demon charged out. Whoosh! The water demon spat out a large amount of demonic aura that merged with the surging river water. With a rumble, it scattered the whirlpool. In an instant, the water and demonic aura shattered the sword net and swept the 5 of them away. They painfully howled within the water and demonic aura. Many disciples in the sky were shocked. They feared the 5 of them would not be able to survive. They looked at Su Fong, who was sitting on the white crane, completely ignoring this. No, we have to save our senior apprentice brothers. A white-robed young soul disciple charged out. Who else is coming with me? He looked at the 100 disciples behind him. You don't listen to my orders? Those disciples didn't say anything, but Su Fong turned and indifferently examined the white-robed disciple. The white-robed disciple heroically said, You're deliberately trying to kill our junior apprentice brothers. I'm going to return to the sect and report this matter to the elder group. If you don't save them, I'll definitely report this matter to the sect. Su Fong was still indifferent. You don't seem to understand my words. I told you to obediently wait, but you just had to stand out. Then I'll use my dignity as a venerated Dao disciple to punish you and cripple your young soul. That person laughed in front of everyone. Haha, you're only at the first stage of the young soul realm, yet you've become a venerated Dao disciple. Our senior apprentice brothers here all have higher cultivation bases than you. What ability do you have? I don't even consider you a venerated Dao disciple. Whoosh! However, just as he finished speaking, before he could even open his eyes, a strong gust of wind suddenly swept past him. Bang! An uncontrollable, baleful aura surged out of his head and body. With a plop, The white-robed disciple knelt down in despair. Blood immediately flowed out of his 7 orifices. Yang's soul scattered. Quite a few Yang soul disciples sucked in a cold breath when they saw this. When they looked at Su Fang again, their eyes were filled with fear and reverence. That was because none of them had even seen Su Fang attack. Shockingly, the Yang nascent soul of a Yang nascent soul disciple was instantly wiped out and shattered. He was reduced to a cripple. How could they not be afraid? Furthermore, this was absolute power. That was why the white-robed disciple didn't even have time to react. What a pity. It wasn't easy for the sect to raise you. As a Yang soul disciple, you should have the vision of an undying and indestructible disciple. But you have none of that. Scram! Su Fang suddenly raised his arm. Before the white-robed disciple could react, a fiery cloud swept him away in the direction of the continent under the gazes of over 100 disciples. All that was left was his identity medallion. The medallion disappeared in front of Su Fang. He turned around and silently looked at the water below as if nothing had happened. As for the 100 disciples behind him, which one of them wasn't dumbstruck? They didn't dare to move, and quite a few of them were trembling. Zheng Daoxin, Su Fang suddenly said, "You've always been by Master Yan's side. You're good at management. This time, you be the temporary leader. I only have one request. Make all the disciples listen to my orders. If anyone dares to refuse, their fate will be the same as that disciple." Yes, disciple will definitely do it well. Zheng Daoxin walked out, trembling. He had been startled for quite a while. It seemed he hadn't expected Su Fang to suddenly entrust him with such an important task. He turned around and sternly said to the 100 disciples, "Everyone, did you hear Senior Apprentice Brother's decree? We'll obey Senior Apprentice Brother's decree. We won't do it again." All the disciples bowed in fear. "Senior Apprentice Brother, we were wrong. We were wrong. Save us! Save us!" A despairing cry for help came from the water below. Chi, leaving behind Bai Ling, Su Fang transformed into a fiery flame and suddenly disappeared. In the blink of an eye, he arrived above the island filled with demonic Chi. He used the heavenly dragon divine claw to grab at the demonic Chi-filled water. Whoosh! The claw mark forcibly shattered the demonic Chi of the 5 disciples, and then flung them up into the air like 5 cannonballs. "Human, you're courting death." The 2 half-human, half-demon water demons hadn't expected their prey to disappear just like that. In their fury, they spat out demonic flames and attacked Su Fang from both sides. Heavenly Dragon Divine Claw. He grabbed with both arms. Whoosh! Boom! In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, the 2 water demons were smashed into meat paste. Blood and flesh were scattered everywhere. The demonic blood dyed the surrounding water red. He instantly killed 2 water demons. Zheng Daoxin and the others' jaws dropped. "Zheng Daoxin, bring the 5 of them here." A figure soared into the air. Bai Ling's wings held him back. Su Fang calmly called out, "Senior Apprentice Brother." The 5 seriously injured people knelt in front of Su Fang. Zheng Daoxin and all the other disciples knew that the 5 of them were going to be in big trouble. Su Fang's expression was indifferent. "I can't tolerate sand in my eyes. This team can't accept people like you. Since you don't listen to my orders, immediately scram back to the sect. The higher-ups will take over this matter." "No, Senior Apprentice Brother. We know we're wrong. We know we're wrong." The 5 of them knelt down and kowtowed to Su Fang. If they returned to the sect now, they would definitely be punished by the sect. Even if they weren't chased out of the sect, they wouldn't be able to enjoy the sect's resources in the future. Su Fang suddenly nodded. "All right, you can ask the other disciples behind you. If they agree, then you can stay." The 5 of them quickly turned around and begged for mercy. But this time, none of the hundreds of people said a word. "It seems that everyone agrees that you violated the decree and should be punished. The rest of you continue on to the snow-wind continent." Yes, the hundreds of disciples no longer looked at the 5 of them. The remaining 5 of them stood there for a long time. They didn't know whether to return or continue on. In short, They now knew the consequences of offending Su Fong. Unfortunately, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The 5 of them deserve it. Luckily, we didn't say anything earlier. It's not bad that we didn't get crippled by senior apprentice brother. After the team gathered, they set off again. This time, no one dared to casually disobey Su Fong's decree. Chapter 469. Su Fong chose disciples from the young-souled disciples who had been to the snow-wind continent before and told them everything about the continent. Zheng Daoxin worked even harder than when he followed Yin Kaifeng. He passed on everything word for word and handled everything properly for Su Fong. Some of the disciples who had conflicts with Su Fong felt that Su Fong would take advantage of his current power to take revenge on them. They were always on tenterhooks. But even when they saw the snow-wind continent, they didn't see Su Fong find any trouble for them. Snow-wind continent's so cold. It's really as the legends say. Snow is constantly falling. The first thing the disciples felt when they stepped onto the continent was cold. Whether it was the mountains, forests, or plateaus, they were all covered in thick snow. Some places had formed a spectacular glacier. Senior apprentice brother has ordered everyone to rest here for 3 days. A formation enveloped the snowy valley. Zheng Daoxin brought the longevity and undying and indestructible disciples to the formation. The young-souled disciples were still in charge of patrolling outside. After Zheng Daoxin made the arrangements and patrolled, he went to the back of the formation and waited for Su Fong to give a new order. Seeing him working so hard, Su Fong also took out an empty bag. Junior apprentice brother Zheng, these are impotence pills. Keep them well. Thank you, senior apprentice brother. Impotence pills are good things now. They're even better than pure essence pills. After accepting the pills, Zheng Daoxin asked, "Are we going to Zuin Pavilion or the Blue Cloud sect immediately?" Zuin Pavilion. Go and prepare. From here to Zuin Pavilion, we have to pass through all the cities and factions. Then let each disciple remember it. After making the arrangements, Su Fong continued to cultivate. He took every opportunity to use his core power to fill his 3 empty yang meridians with energy. 3 days later, under his lead, the disciples officially entered the snow-wind continent. Just as they passed through the land of ice and snow, the snowflakes suddenly disappeared. The cold currents also disappeared. In front of them was a boundless green world. It turned out that the snow-wind continent also had places where it was spring all year round. Deeper in, quickly enter the eternal spring immortal sect's territory. Su Fong, who was flying at the very top, used his young nascent soul to compare with the map. Suddenly, he looked into the distance with great curiosity. Rumor has it that the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate cultivates a longevity cultivation technique that allows Daimel disciples to generally live up to 3,000 years. I wonder if it's a physical body or some other cultivation technique that makes it so extraordinary. They were about to arrive at a first-rate sect, and the disciples were both nervous and full of anticipation. Senior brother. Suddenly, 2 Yongning experts flew over from the front. One of them hurriedly reported with an uneasy expression, "There's a small town ahead. It seems like it just went through a massacre. There aren't any survivors among the elderly and children." Su Fong asked calmly, "It was done by the demon sect. We're not sure. We don't dare to go too deep into the town. We're only probing the surroundings. I'm afraid it's the work of a demonic path." The 2 disciples didn't have much confidence. "We are a righteous, immortal sect. Why should we be afraid of the demonic path? Let's go take a look." Su Fong decisively waved his arm. All the disciples sped up and stepped on their flying swords. Their imposing manner was released in midair. It's not Eternal Spring Immortal School. Little does one know, a few kilometers away, in a mountain forest, a few black-robed men covered in blood were working together to activate their sensing abilities. The one in the middle revealed a surprised expression. "I thought it was the Eternal Spring Immortal Sect. They found our tracks so quickly, but it seems impossible. Look at those 100 over cultivators. Their cultivation isn't high. There isn't a single Calamity Realm cultivator. Let me take a closer look. Which sect disciples are from? That person once again focused his senses. After a moment, he said, "Interesting. They aren't from the Snow Wind continent. They're from the distant Crimson Firmament continent, the Righteous Path's immortal sealing sect. We've never been to the Crimson Firmament continent, so we don't know much about the immortal sealing sect. We only know that it's a large sect in the Crimson Firmament continent. This sect was established less than 20,000 years ago. It's not even comparable to the Eternal Spring Immortal sect. Hee, I have an idea. Aren't we still lacking some living hearts?" "Brother, what you mean is that after we kill these immortal sealing sect disciples and take their hearts, we can go back and offer them to the altar master. What else can we do? The Eternal Spring Immortal sect isn't weak. We can only search for targets in the periphery and hunt for hearts. Even if these immortal sealing sect disciples are unlucky, if we don't complete the mission, the altar master will take our hearts. You also know that we can't escape from the altar master's palm. Then kill." More than 20 black-robed men suddenly appeared behind them. They are heading towards the small town. We will immediately head there secretly. Once they enter the small town, we will use a formation to trap them. Then, we will use poison gas to poison them to death. Don't casually use treasures. If we destroy their bodies, their hearts will also be gone. The group of black-robed men quickly disappeared from the mountain peak and entered the vast forest ahead. Devil Dao, or evil sect, tens of thousands of meters away. Leading the disciples, Su Fong just happened to see the aura of humans in front of them. He secretly glanced to the left, and his expression tightened. Zheng Daoxin suddenly came to the center of the disciples and said solemnly, "Senior Brother has ordered everyone to quiet down. Senior Brother has something to say." All the disciples looked at Su Fong in unison. Su Fong didn't turn around. With his back facing the crowd, he used his supreme, young nascent soul and said, "There are more than 20 powerful experts nearby. They are the ones who massacred the small town and want to ambush us in the small town. I feel that we should continue to go deeper into the small town and beat them at their own game. You all start secretly condensing formation runes. They will use poison gas to attack us. Then, we must use a formation rune formation to protect ourselves." He continued, "Apart from the longevity sect disciples, the other disciples should also condense other divine ability runes. Be prepared to join forces and form a formation at any time to deal with those experts. These people are all hard to deal with. Some of them are catastrophe realm giants. Their strength is not weak." Hearing this, all the disciples flew slowly. Each of them was doubtful, afraid, and uneasy. In the end, they followed Su Fong's order and secretly started condensing runes. After passing through mountain range, there was a small town behind them. As expected, the first thing they saw was a bloody aura lingering above the small town. Su Fong had already smelled the pungent smell of blood. He directly led the disciples towards the small town and said with some interest, "The heavy sword has no edge. I have never used such a peerless artifact before. Today, I can use it on these evil cultivators." It seemed like Su Fong was going to start a massacre and show off his skills. How cruel! Above the small town, the airflow dispersed. All the disciples floated above and looked down. There were corpses everywhere in the small town. Flies buzzed nonstop. Under Su Fong's lead, the crowd got closer and saw that these people had died too miserably. They were all killed by sharp weapons that opened up bloody holes in their hearts. It was as if their hearts had been gouged out while they were still alive. Some of the female disciples saw this and began to vomit. Many male disciples couldn't stand this scene and didn't dare to take another look. The heart first imprisoned these people and then took their hearts out. What are these people trying to do? Su Fong frowned secretly and suddenly transmitted his voice, "Get ready. They are about to attack." Rustle, rustle. In less than half an incense stick's time suddenly, a formation Xian Guang flew out from the surroundings of the small town. Within the Xian Guang was a poisonous black, fiendish aura. It was like a dark cloud that covered everyone. Su Fong turned around and pointed. "Release the rune talismans." Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All the disciples were shaken by the power of Su Fang's thunderous roar. They forgot everything and threw out their rune talismans. After the formation rune talismans appeared, they buzzed and shattered. The formation Xianguang exploded, and under Su Fang's control, it turned into a barrier that covered everyone. Yang's soul disciples, wait above. If they attack the formation, work together to attack. If you can't kill them, you can protect yourselves. I'm going to meet these people. Whoosh. Leaving behind the bewildered crowd, Su Fang actually sat alone on Bai Ling's back. With a flap of Bai Ling's wings, they flew out of the formation. Senior apprentice brother is so powerful. Everyone, don't be afraid. Although senior apprentice brother is only at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm, his strength is clear for all to see. As long as you control the formation properly, there won't be any danger. They seem to have been infected by Su Fang's aura and confidence. Zheng Daoxin led everyone to take out all kinds of divine ability talismans, preparing to fight those savage people. They were actually prepared. We underestimated the immortal sealing sect. The poison barrier had already covered the small town. But when the 20 experts flew out to take a look, they saw that there was still a barrier in the middle. It was impregnable, and the poison couldn't penetrate it. A middle-aged man walked out and pulled out a sharp sword from his back. So what if there's a formation protecting them? Let's attack. Don't tell me we can't break the barrier. They don't even have a single tribulation expert. Kill. Everyone also pulled out their immortal swords. Hey! But unexpectedly, a man's lazy voice came from behind them. Who? Who? Everyone turned around in shock to see a young man from the house of immortal sealing, riding a white crane, looking over coolly at them from about 100 meters away. First level Yang Soul. He really is at the first level of Yang Soul. That's good. Even the weakest person here isn't at the first level of Yang Soul. This brat is just throwing his life away. The black-robed men let out sighs of relief. They had thought it was some big shot, but it turned out it was just an ordinary first-level Yang Soul disciple. Who are you? Why do you want to kill these commoners? I don't kill nameless people, asked Su Fang calmly. The black-robed man was extremely arrogant. Since you're about to die, I'll tell you that we're disciples of the Night Spirit sect. You won't die unjustly at our hands. Is the Night Spirit sect a devil path or a cult? Su Fang had never heard of the Night Spirit sect. We're from a divine sect. You, go kill this brat, shouted the middle-aged man coldly. He nodded to one of the Yang Soul experts. This person's cultivation base was at the 7th level of Yang Soul. To him, dealing with a first-level Yang Soul cultivator was a piece of cake. Swish! The expert that had charged out repeatedly used strange moves. Furthermore, the sword in his hand erupted with sword chi that transformed into a big goblin that shot towards Su Fang. Grand Firmament sword chi, just as he was about 10 meters away from Su Fang. Only then did Su Fang attack. With a flick of his finger, a sword heart condensed from Grand Firmament sword chi stabbed forward. Bang, the opponent's sword slammed into the sword heart, but it was split in two by the sword heart. The sword heart didn't allow that person to react. Suddenly, like a small snake, it circled around the sword and pierced through that person's chest. Combined with the dragon snake scroll, your attacks are even stranger. Su Fang indifferently looked at the expert in front of him. Disbelief filled his eyes as he trembled and collapsed. The Night Spirit sect's experts had been preparing to attack the formation, but when they saw their comrade being killed by Su Fang so easily, their expressions changed. One by one, the black-robed men came back to their senses. So, you're not an ordinary disciple. I'm a newly promoted disciple of the Celestial Sealing Gate. For you to encounter me today is your misfortune. Su Fang flipped his hand, and Edgeless appeared in his hand. Haha, a Celestial Sealing Gate disciple at the first level of Yang Soul? You really don't know what's good for you. Send a few more brothers to kill this person. Don't let the Eternal Spring, Immortal Gates people chase after you. Chapter 470. Whoosh, whoosh. The middle-aged man gave an order, and several high-level Yang Soul overlords flew across the sky with sword in their hands. Beams of sword chi intertwined with each other like hungry tigers pouncing on sheep. Heavy edgeless sword kill. Several Yang Soul experts, their overall strength was about the same as Su Feng's. Normally speaking, Su Feng should be at the 10th level of the Yang Soul. The edgeless sword didn't seem to have any mysteries because it was a spirit treasure. It wasn't like ordinary Dharma treasures with large amounts of divine abilities and restrictions. Because of that, they completely ignored Su Feng's edgeless sword. Whoosh! He used the ruler's divine steps. Su Feng suddenly appeared in front of them. This brat's strength isn't that bad. Use your sword to chop him. The 4 Yang Soul experts were startled. They immediately raised their swords and slashed at Su Feng. The edgeless sword followed Su Feng's left arm. It was such a heavy sword that it felt invincible. Clang! Clap! 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 The 4 experts coughed up blood after losing their swords. Clap! 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 Chi! The 4 men's heads were instantly separated from their necks. Su Feng raised the edgeless sword. Although it didn't seem like he was using any strength, he was actually bearing the weight of the sword. Since he had a perfect circle physical body, he was able to use the sword's divine power. Too weak. What night spirit sect? You're too weak. You look down on my immortal ceiling sect, but in reality, you're just SOSO in front of me. This person already knows who we are. Once the altar master finds out, we'll definitely die. Everyone, let's attack together and kill him. Take out your poison and formations. The middle-aged man furiously roared. The experts lined up in a row and activated a hand seal. Clap, 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 clap. 8 Origin Spiritual Formation. Rulers clap. When the poisonous gas rushed over, Su Feng was not afraid of it at all. Clap, 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 clap. He had clap, 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 clap. The clap. Night clap. One night clap. 8 clap, clap, clap. Clap of clap, kul clap of kul clap. CL kul clap. Clap, clap, kul clap. Clap, 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 clap. In the blink of an eye, the experts were trapped in the formation. From the outside, it was impossible to see what was happening inside. With the 8 Origin Spiritual Formation, you can still escape. Now I can rest assured and kill you one by one. Su Feng stepped into the formation. Clap, 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 clap. He has a clap. Clap, 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 clap. Several Catastrophe Realm experts saw the quality of the edgeless sword. Feeling uneasy, they ordered their subordinates to summon high-grade immortal swords, while the Catastrophe Realm experts used peak high-grade flying swords. Swish, swish. More than 10 people rushed over together. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Stepping on the heavenly god steps, a pair of fire cloud wings appeared on his back. His speed was unexpectedly faster than everyone else, and he suddenly arrived in front of a dozen or so people. His edgeless sword hacked down on a Yang Soul black-clothed man. The man was so frightened that he hurriedly waved his sword to block the attack. Boom! The edgeless sword was simply used to destroy magic treasures. With a single slash, the high-grade flying sword was smashed to pieces, while the black-clothed Yang Soul expert below suddenly smashed his head into a meat patty with his edgeless sword. Hand over your life. On both sides, 2 black-robed Yang Ing realm experts instantly charged over. Su Feng's body flashed back, holding edgeless in front of him. Clang, clang, the 2 sharp swords struck the edgeless sword, but they didn't hurt the edgeless sword at all. Even Su Feng wasn't affected in the slightest. On the contrary, the fire cloud wings on Su Feng's back flapped, and 2 blazing illusory fire cloud flames shot out. This was an immortal-grade immortal fire, and it was an immortal-grade divine ability that the mysterious woman had taught him. Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 experts weren't afraid of the true fire. They activated their defenses and waved their flying swords, attacking and defending, trying to shatter the sword chi that was like the fire cloud. However, The fire cloud directly pounced on them, burning their defenses and instantly surrounding them. Su Fong also unleashed his full power. It seemed that at this moment, he wanted to test the strength of a first-stage Yang Soul expert. Toppling the mountains and overturning the seas, many Yang Ing realm experts at the back formed a formation together and waved out a sword-light formation. This attack has the power of a peak Yang Soul expert, or even the first-stage catastrophe realm. Su Fong turned around and looked at the sword-light formation. It seemed that at this moment, he was about to be swallowed by the sword-light formation. Heavy sword edgeless. However, he didn't dodge. Instead, he waved his edgeless sword as usual, facing several Yang Ing realm experts by himself. Boom! He pointed his sword. It wasn't a stab. It seemed gentle and didn't contain much lethality, but this point contained supreme divine power and divine might. When it touched the sword-light formation, the entire formation instantly lost its light. The sword formation rumbled and collapsed. The Yang Ing realm experts at the back were also shaken to the point of constantly retreating and vomiting blood. You can actually contend against so many of us at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm. One of the Yang Ing realm experts trembled as he held his sword and watched Su Fong approach. It seemed that at this moment, everyone believed that Su Fong was really a disciple of the Sovereign Tao. Bang! Behind them, a strange aura of a catastrophe strangely attacked. The aura turned into a giant red palm that wanted to crush Su Fong. Whoosh! However, this time, Su Fong didn't face it head-on. Instead, he suddenly dodged. Unexpectedly, part of the palm's power hit the Yang Ing realm experts at the back. Su Fong didn't care and shouted, "You guys come out. This is my formation. You can't hide." So powerful. 4 black-clothed people flashed out. Each of them was in the catastrophe realm. That's right. Su Fong suddenly patted his head and looked at the 4 of them. The 4 of you are in the catastrophe realm. Your cultivation bases are between the 1st and 4th stages. I just happen to be lacking catastrophe realm slaves. You guys are suitable. The middle-aged man clenched his teeth in anger. You want us to be slaves to a first-stage Yanging realm? Kid, you think you can be so arrogant just because you have some strength? Today, we'll let you know the immensity of heaven and earth. Is that so? I also want to see just how powerful the Night Spirit sect is. Su Fong once more waved edgeless. He wasn't in a hurry at all. This was his 8 origin soul elephant formation. Even the majority of catastrophe realm experts couldn't break it. He had absolute confidence in suppressing these 4 experts. Swish, swish. Of the 4 catastrophe realm experts, the middle-aged man had the highest cultivation base at the 4th stage of the catastrophe realm. He immediately led the other 3 catastrophe realm experts to attack. Each of them contained the aura and power of catastrophe. He had just fought Prince Shui not long ago. Who would have thought that he would fight 4 catastrophe realm experts today? Using his perfect physical body, their attacks suddenly slowed down by more than 5 times. During this time, Su Fong activated his core's power. He hadn't even combined it with the 8 origin soul elephant formation. Using the ruler divine steps, he suddenly leapt towards one of them. Clang! His speed was too fast. Furthermore, Su Fong's perfect physical body allowed him to see through his opponent's speed, the weakness of his sword chi, and the trajectory of his high-grade flying sword. Another point. Edgeless struck the immortal sword. With a bang, the flying sword was knocked out of the opponent's hand. Su Fong waved his hand, sucking the high-grade flying sword into his hand. This was a treasure. It was perfect for Yang Ing realm and catastrophe realm experts to use. Clang, clang, clang. His flame cloud wings strangely fluttered, causing Su Fong's body to transform into a flame cloud. Swish, swish, swish. The other 3 experts' flying swords struck the flame cloud. In the end, Edgeless forcefully caught the flying swords, causing the 3 catastrophe realm experts to retreat. Although their flying swords weren't knocked out, their arms were still numb from the shock. The 3 of them were shocked, and they broke out in cold sweat. What a dense divine power! You're really at the Yang-Ing realm, exclaimed another. Su Fong walked out of the flame cloud and transformed back into his flame cloud wings. Of course I'm at the Yang-Ing realm. If I didn't have this ability, how could I be a sovereign disciple of the celestial sealing sect? The four of you, take a look. I haven't even used a formation. Just my strength alone is enough to suppress the four of you. Once I activate the formation, you won't be able to escape even if I don't do anything. We acknowledge your strength, but we've already joined the Night Spirit sect. If we betray you, our hearts will be gouged out by the Altar Master. Kill. The middle-aged man hardened his heart, together with the other two, as well as the catastrophe realm expert who had lost his flying sword. They charged over once more. This time, their auras were at their peak. Clap, clap, clap. Edgeless struck again and again, forcefully clashing with the four experts' magic treasures and divine abilities. Chi-Chi. Two of them threw out talismans, instantly releasing a shocking amount of poisonous gas. At such a close distance, and with the fact that they were all catastrophe realm experts, Su Fong couldn't match the speed of the talismans and the destructive gas. The poisonous gas enveloped Su Fong. Haha, I know you're very strong, and your methods are unfathomable. No matter what, you're not a match for the poisonous gas. They were extremely pleased. The poisonous gas was like a burning black cloud, corroding Su Fong's defenses layer by layer and burning his skin. Whoosh! Suddenly, the poisonous gas was strangely sucked into Su Fong's left hand, completely disappearing. Oh, what are you doing? The four of them were pleased with themselves, but they couldn't laugh. It's something you can't imagine. I don't have time to play with you. I just want to see my current strength. 8 Origin Soul Image Formation Suppress. Su Fong suddenly jumped up and pressed down on the four of them with both hands. Whoosh whoosh. The entire space was suddenly filled with a layer of flames. The surrounding 8 layers of space suddenly merged and strengthened the space below. Chi! But who knew? Su Fong suddenly looked at the formation in front of him. From there, an evil intent suddenly flew out and forcefully shattered the 8 Origin Soul Image Formation. In the blink of an eye, he entered the engulfed formation below. Chapter 471. What kind of power is this? This evil aura silently passed through the 8 elements' divine elephant formation and shook Su Fong to the ground like a log. The current power of the 8 Origin Soul Elephant Formation was at least at the 8th level of the Calamity Realm. Even Prince Shui would have to struggle to break out of the formation. But this weak, evil aura instantly passed through the 8 Origin Soul Elephant Formation. It was truly shocking. What the hell was this? Suppress. The 8 layers of illusionary space represented the 8 formation spaces controlled by the 8 Fire Crystal Men. Under the rapid pressure, the space in the center was continuously shackled. Under normal circumstances, the 4 great experts inside would definitely be suppressed. Spirit Lord. But the 8 formation spaces were unable to calm down and completely seal the central space. Instead, a black phantom suddenly rose up from the center. The black phantom smashed the array formation into pieces. Below it were 4 experts whose eyes were dark and whose bodies were also emitting an evil and dark aura. They maintained the same hand seals, and a black light surged out from each of their minds, forming an evil black phantom. Boom! Even the 8 layers of spatial sealing formation were forcefully pushed away by the black phantom. It was about to struggle out of the 8 Origin Soul Elephant Formation. I didn't expect to encounter such a powerful force here. This time, his eyes were wide open. He originally thought that with the 8 Origin Soul Elephant Formation, it would be easy to seal these people. Who would have thought that the evil black phantom would appear? All right, let me see how powerful you are. Grabbing the edgeless sword, regardless of what the black phantom was, he used the ruler's divine steps and appeared above the black phantom. Pung! The phantom strangely split out 2 black hands and caught the edgeless sword. The phantom was not affected at all. However, the 4 experts controlled by the evil phantom coughed up blood from the impact. Even the edgeless sword is unable to break your green fiend, true fire. A streak of green, true fire descended in circles. Creak. The true fire was useful. The black phantom seemed to be afraid of the true fire and was affected by the flames. But it still continued to release its evil aura. Huff, huff. He wiped off his cold sweat and looked down in a daze. I didn't expect to encounter such a tough opponent the moment I came to the snow-wind continent. Fortunately, I didn't let those disciples participate. Otherwise, no matter how many people there were, it wouldn't be enough to kill them. He then looked at the black phantom trapped by the green fiend true fire. What kind of divine ability is this, Spirit Master? Master, Rakshasa Yu Changping promptly said. This is called the God's Descent art. It's a great ability that uses external dermic powers and nascent spirits to reinforce one's body. Combined with a special seal, it's the same as using an expert's strength to reinforce one's body. This was the first time Su Fong had heard of God's Descent. Only peerless experts have this kind of divine ability. The Lord of Five Poisons once used God's Descent in order to protect a genius disciple. That disciple went to a small world to gain experience and ended up being trapped there. After using God's Descent, the Lord of Five Poisons transmitted his magic power from a distant place into the disciple's body, ultimately saving that disciple. What a heaven-defying technique. God's Descent art also has its risks. The user has to endure a power countless times greater than their own. Master, look at those 4 Tribulation Realm cultivators. They've already lost consciousness and are being controlled by that black evil power. Once they wake up, their nascent spirits and Tao hearts will be greatly affected. Then how do we break God's Descent art? Strength. Master has already done this much. As long as you use a bit more strength, you'll be able to erase this God's Descent art. As long as the powerhouse controlling God's Descent art doesn't use it again, it'll be resolved. This is a terrifying young nascent divine ability that uses a young nascent soul, explained Rakshasa Yu Changping. If the green fiend true fire isn't strong enough, then have a taste of the illusory fire cloud. Formless fire cloud saber. He instantly formed a seal. Countless flaming saber rays tumbled down. Puffed, puffed. The formless fire cloud saber was a powerful divine ability that came from the illusory fire cloud. It was a fire-type divine ability that was everywhere. After it exploded, it was like volcanoes erupting around the Black Phantom. The evil aura of the burning phantom was also burning the 4 Tribulation Realm cultivators down below. Whoosh! The formless fire cloud saber attacked over 100 times. Finally, the Black Phantom couldn't hold on any longer. Under the descending flaming saber rays, it completely shattered. Pow, pow, pow. Su Fong used the 100 acupoints finger art from beneath the ashes and tapped the phantom's forehead. Disciple of the celestial sealing gate. If I ever meet you again, I definitely won't let you off. The dust of the dark phantom above actually revealed a sinister voice. It really is a God's Descent art. Su Fong sucked the 4 into the Xianhuang 6 Paths Pagoda. He also replied, I don't fear evil cultivators like you. If you have the ability, come find me for revenge. As the dust fell, there was no more movement. The young nascent experts from before had all died. Their corpses were given to Gue to cultivate. Whoosh! The 8 Origin Soul Elephant formation also disappeared from Su Fong's palm. He flashed back and arrived above the town. Fortunately, there was no problem with the formation. Buzz! Just as he ordered Jing Daoxin and all the disciples to withdraw the formation runes, the perfection stage expert heard some movement behind him. After 3 breaths, over 100 young nascent experts, led by a dozen catastrophe realm experts, came from the depths of the sky on flying swords. Zheng Daoxin and the others flew over. A high-level young nascent disciple said, Senior brother, they're disciples of the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate. We saw the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate's envoy in the main hall during the conferring ceremony. Su Fong nodded. Everyone, don't act rashly. The Eternal Spring Immortal Gate experts surrounded the town. The dozen catastrophe realm experts looked around and slowly flew down. Disciple of the Celestial Sealing Gate. Su Fong calmly cupped his fists. I am Fong Yu, the newly promoted disciple of the Celestial Sealing Gate. I was ordered to come to the Snow Wind continent to train. When I passed by this town, I encountered some black-clothed people who massacred the town. You are the newly promoted disciple of the Celestial Sealing Gate. One of them was a middle-aged man with an extremely powerful cultivation base. He and the surrounding experts sized up Su Fong in surprise. You're the one who dared to challenge Crown Prince Shui as an imperishable realm cultivator and even fought to a draw with him. Yes, Senior Brother Fong. Many young nascent disciples immediately answered. The envoy sent by my sect to the Celestial Sealing Gate just returned. Everyone was talking about you. I didn't expect to see you so soon. The middle-aged man's tone became more polite. He asked again, what about those black-clothed people? Zheng Daoxin walked out and answered in front of everyone. They all died at the hands of our senior brother. None escaped. A few catastrophe realm experts from the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate also walked over and said in disbelief, the experts of the Night Spirit cult were all killed by you alone. None were left alive. They said they were from the Night Spirit cult and were collecting hearts. There were about 20 of them. I've captured one alive so far. Su Fong shook his hand, and Xian Guang came out of his palm. A black-clothed person who had yet to regain consciousness was bound by seals like a dead person. It is indeed an expert from the Night Spirit cult, and a living catastrophe realm evil cult member. The appearance of the black-clothed person caused many Eternal Spring Immortal Gate disciples to exclaim. The middle-aged man was even more polite. Brother Fong, can you let us deal with this person? The Night Spirit cult is not simple. They suddenly appeared and caused chaos in the Snow Wind continent. Of course. Why can't we? This kind of trash is useless in my hands. Although Su Fong pretended to be indifferent, he was actually distressed. He had finally captured 4 catastrophe realm powerhouses as slaves, and now he had a hand over another one. A catastrophe realm powerhouse could refine a high-grade aphrodisiac pill for him, or even a life-seizing restoration pill. The black-clothed person flew out of Xianguang and was immediately sealed by the Eternal Spring Immortal Gates experts. I'm the master of the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate, you junkie. The middle-aged man introduced himself in front of everyone and bowed. Since fellow Taoists from the Immortal Bestowment sect have come to my Eternal Spring Immortal sect, I will represent the sect and lead everyone on a tour of this vast territory. I will be a good host. Since that is the case, we will respectfully accept your invitation. Since they had come to the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate and were acquainted with you, junkie, it would be unreasonable if they did not stay for a while. In the end, they agreed. Yu Junkie was very happy and immediately told his disciples to inform the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate. Not long after they left the small town, they saw a vast city. There were already thousands of Eternal Spring Immortal Gate disciples in the city, welcoming them respectfully. They clearly displayed the hospitality of a large sect. It was the first time for many disciples to come to the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate. Although it was not a training ground, it was a rare opportunity to tour the territory. In the past month, they had visited almost all the big and small cities in the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate and many scenic spots. In the end, Su Fong insisted on going to the Forbidden Snow Forest to train. Only then did the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate allow him to bring the disciples away. I have seen Prince Shui. He fought with many of our sect's geniuses in the past. He was really a proud son of heaven. I did not expect this Fong Yu to be such a person. You cannot judge a book by its cover. He is able to kill a catastrophe realm powerhouse when he is only at the first stage of the Yang Soul realm. Yu Junkie and the Eternal Spring Immortal Gate watched the group leave. Many experts sighed and only left after the group of Immortal Bestowment sect disciples had left. A few days later, under Su Fong's lead, The group finally left the eternal spring immortal gates territory and gradually entered the ice-snow plateau. Yu Junki mentioned the Night Spirit sect. This evil sect has appeared in the Snow-Wind continent for less than 100 years, but has caused the righteous Tao in the Snow-Wind continent to be restless. I wonder which faction dares to openly go against the righteous Tao in the Snow-Wind continent. In the Snow Plateau at night, the disciples were protected by a formation. Some young-souled disciples were patrolling near the formation. Su Fong sat in the depths of the formation and released his perfected ability to sense the movements in the surroundings. He also maintained his cultivation and tried his best to recover the energy he had used in the battle with the Night Spirit sect experts. The Yang soul escaped into the Xianwang Six Paths Pagoda. Within a restriction, 3 black-robed men were powerlessly trapped inside. When they saw Su Fong appear, they were all trembling in fear. Su Fong smiled indifferently. Even the Spirit Lord could not protect you. In the end, you still fell into my hands. I am very curious. What kind of faction is the Night Spirit sect that dares to be so presumptuous in the Snow-Wind continent? One of them answered honestly, actually, we don't know much about the Night Spirit cult. We're just cultivators from different parts of the continent. We were captured by the emissaries of the Night Spirit cult, planted with evil poison, and imprisoned with our Yuan spirits. We were forced to work for them. The strongest person in the Night Spirit cult is the Altar Master. We call him Night Spirit, but we don't know who he is. He only told us to find living hearts on the continent. We had to dig them out while they were still alive. Every year, we had to hand over 100 hearts, or our own hearts would be dug out by the emissaries. So mysterious. I won't ask about anything else. Give me the hearts you've collected, and then become my slaves. I don't want you to kill people or gouge out their hearts. Just refine pills for me, and I'll even give you your freedom in the future. That's the difference between following me and following the Night Spirit cult. They don't treat you as humans, but in my eyes, you're still humans. With that, the 3 of them took out their empty pouches. Su Fong returned to his original body with the empty pouches. Chapter 472. The young nascent soul split into 3 and entered the empty bag. Dozens of hearts were sealed in each of the 3 empty bags. They were sealed by a special blood cauldron. The blood cauldron wasn't a pill cauldron, nor was it an offensive or defensive treasure. The hearts in the blood cauldron were still beating. It was truly strange. This blood cauldron isn't simple. It's a high-grade treasure, but there's an evil aura in the restrictions and power that sealed all the hearts, causing them to leave the body. They're actually still alive. Don't waste these hearts. It's best to let Gue absorb them. The hearts were still beating, but they couldn't return to the body. When the blood cauldron and the blood cauldron came in contact, Su Fong sensed a similar evil aura. Although the 2 treasures weren't directly related, their refining methods were somewhat similar. Fortunately, Su Fong had learned a certain amount of refining knowledge from the slaves suppressed by the Myriad Treasure Path. He could see most of the restrictions inside the blood cauldron. The quality wasn't high, but its power was shocking. Gue was happy. The hearts were the perfect food for him. He could eat them one by one. He also absorbed the immortal blood from Su Fong. He didn't need to cultivate. Just by devouring high-grade energy, Gue's strength was transforming day by day. His strength was about the same as Su Fong's. After retrieving the young nascent soul and comparing it to the map, they soon arrived at the Zuin Pavilion. Along the way, Su Fong led the disciples to stop and walk. After another month, they finally set foot on the boundless territory controlled by the Zuin Pavilion. The Zuin Pavilion was a female sect. It was the only female sect in the Zhuitian realm. Of course, the Twin Immortal sect didn't count. The Twin Immortal sect couldn't be compared to the Zuin Pavilion. The Zuin Pavilion's influence in the Zhuitian realm was even greater than the Celestial Sealing sect. Oh, deep in the Zuin Pavilion's territory, the ground was snow-white. Su Fong suddenly sensed something. The 2 disciples, scouting ahead, immediately came to report. Soon, Hundreds of female disciples wearing snow-white cloaks flew over from the snowy sky on their swords. They were all young, nascent soul and tribulation realm experts, fellow Taoists from the celestial ceiling sect. These white-cloaked women were all disciples of Zuin Pavilion. The only woman who didn't ride a sword walked out from the crowd. The woman's skin was like ice and her bones were like jade. Her bearing was extraordinary, and her features were picturesque. Her appearance was unique, as if she had been sculpted bit by bit. Her aura also surpassed that of the Calamity Realm powerhouses behind her. She was only 19 years old, but her tone was very dignified. I'm Jin Qingke, the master of the sect. I've already received orders from the elders to wait nearby for the arrival of fellow Taoists from the Celestial Bestowment sect. May I know who is the new disciple of the Celestial Bestowment sect? Junior brother Fong Yu? Zhen Qingxiao. So he was a sect master. No wonder he was so extraordinary. Senior apprentice Sister Zhen. I am Fong Yu. Su Fong led his disciples to a stop. He stepped forward and bowed to Jin Qingke. As expected of a young hero, to be able to fight Prince Shui to a draw. In the past, when Prince Shui was unhindered in the Snowstorm Continent, he fought against many geniuses, but none of them could surpass him. Zhen Qingqiue's gaze was focused. The women behind her also looked at Su Fong curiously. After chatting for a while, Su Fong led all his disciples to the Zuin Pavilion's training hall under the guidance of the surrounding Zuin Pavilion disciples. Su Fong's gaze became more and more urgent. In the end, he couldn't keep quiet. He bowed to the side. Senior apprentice Sister Zhen, I'd like to ask you about a female disciple. Please speak, Zhen Qingke replied generously. Her name is Xiao Mei Er. Decades ago, she met a few senior apprentice sisters from your sect in the Tiangor domain. In the end, she followed a senior apprentice sister with the surname Wang to the Zuin Pavilion's training hall. You're talking about the birth of the Spirit Gourd, right? I also participated at that time. I clearly remember that it was senior apprentice sister Wang Yuan who led some of the sect's geniuses to the Tiangor domain to seize the Spirit Gourd and search for the Spirit Water and other treasures. Later, senior apprentice sister Wang returned with a few disciples selected from the Chamber of Commerce. Wait a moment. After Zhen Qingke finished speaking, she probably used her young nascent soul to secretly search for the token. Wang Yuan. It should be senior apprentice Sister Wang. Su Fong exclaimed in surprise. A snow-white woman in a black robe suddenly appeared in his mind. Her face was still covered, and there was a purple flower on her head. That woman's surname was also Wang. She was extremely powerful and had a noble status. Now that he thought about it, she must be a high-level member of the Zuin Pavilion. Zhen Qingke suddenly nodded. Xiao Mei Er. There's indeed such a female disciple. She is cultivating in the training hall that senior apprentice Sister Wang is in charge of. She has been here for decades and experienced the birth of the Spirit Gourd. Now, her cultivation has just entered the longevity realm. In the recent training of the new disciples, her performance was very eye-catching. Senior apprentice Sister Wang is training her as a core disciple. Thank you, senior apprentice sister. I wonder if I can meet junior apprentice Sister Xiao when I go to the sect. I come from the same territory as her and can be considered as a friend who has gone through life and death together. I don't have a say in this. Senior apprentice Sister Wang is also a palm master and has already advanced a palm path. Above palm path is the elder. If you want to meet Xiao Mei Er, you must get her permission. If you really want to meet her, I can lead you to her first. Thank you, senior apprentice sister. He didn't expect it to be so troublesome. At least Zhen Qingke was very enthusiastic and was willing to help. About 3 days later, the group arrived at a plateau that seemed to be a world of ice. At the peak of the plateau, which looked like it was formed by rolling waves and solidifying waves, floated a vast barrier. This was the training hall of the Zuin Pavilion. Zhen Qingke used a magical door. From tens of thousands of miles away, they immediately passed through the barrier and arrived at the inner world of the training hall. Zuin Pavilion's training hall was similar to the celestial ceiling sects in terms of formations. Unlike the others, Zuin Pavilion's buildings were all carved out of ice. Inside, there were countless snowy mountains, forests, and valleys. Cold. The disciples of the celestial ceiling sect stood in the training hall. The only thing they felt was the bone-piercing cold wind. Along the way, there were already many ordinary vast core realm and heavenly union realm disciples curiously sizing up the people of the celestial ceiling sect. Further in were the longevity realm and undying realm disciples. They arrived at a mountain range. There were many ice palaces here. Under Zhen Qingque's arrangement, the disciples of the celestial ceiling sect began to cultivate in the ice palaces. In the centermost ice palace, Junior Brother Fong, the elders will come to see you later, as well as other higher-ups. In the crystal clear ice palace, Zhen Qingque invited Su Fong to sit down. You've come to the snow-wind continent with great difficulty. This time, my sect is preparing for an exchange competition. We hope to exchange techniques with your sect's genius disciples. We'll pick some longevity, undying, and young soul disciples. That's not a problem. I think the higher-ups of our sects have already come into contact with each other. I have no objections. However, we still have to go to the Forbidden Snow Forest to train. Before that, we still have to pay a visit to the Blue Cloud sect. I estimate that we'll only be in your sect for about a month. That's enough. The two chatted for a while. As expected, more than 20 higher-ups arrived. They were all in the catastrophe realm. One of them was even an elder. His cultivation had long surpassed the catastrophe realm. He was a powerful powerhouse like Jin Changkong and Yuan Tianzong. However, what surprised Su Fong was that this elder was a man. He was very young, about 30 years old. He wore a silver crown and had bright eyes. At first glance, one could tell that he was a peerless expert. Like the other disciples, the elder's body was mainly made of cold qi. After an introduction, this elder's name was Zhang Suning. He had been an elder for 1,000 years and could be considered a newly promoted elder. Zhang Suning was also very polite. He praised Su Fong greatly. Among the higher-ups behind, Su Fong saw a few familiar faces. It turned out that they were the emissaries from the Zuin Pavilion that he had met at the conferring ceremony. Junior Brother Fong, then it's settled. The exchange will be held in 10 days. Qingque, send more elixirs to the disciples of the celestial ceiling sect, especially our special cold qi elixirs. Take good care of everyone. Zhang Suning left quickly. Elders were indeed different. Zhen Qingque also left quickly. However, she was in a nearby ice palace. Then, a disciple of the Zuin Pavilion came to bring elixirs, spirit fruits, and other resources. The Zuin Pavilion's cold qi surpasses the celestial ceiling sect's jade firmament mysterious art. However, compared to the 9-yin cold qi, the Zuin Pavilion's Dao grounds are even more abundant than the celestial ceiling sects. As expected of a large power, this month, I'll be able to recover the energy of my 3 yang meridians. Zuin Pavilion deep within a Dao grounds will carving technique. Frozen space, a large amount of snowflakes came out of a woman's xianguan. The countless snowflakes were like knives, carving large amounts of ice flowers into the figure. This woman was Xiao Mei, who was wearing a snow-white robe. When the figure finally took shape, it was actually Su Fong's appearance. Xiao Mei stopped for a moment and suddenly sensed something. A large amount of snowflakes covered the figure. Countless snowflakes danced in the air, and the figure transformed into Xiao Mei's appearance. Mei, a woman's illusory figure, first responded from outside before entering the cave. It was the woman who had worn a purple bead flower on her head back then. This was the Zuin Pavilion's Dao master, Wang Yuyin. Senior apprentice sister, Xiao Mei stopped cultivating and bowed to Wang Yuyin. You still need to cultivate. Although your breakthroughs have been extremely shocking these past few years, you're still just a longevity cultivator. Only by forming a yang soul can you be considered an expert. Even if you're undying, you still can't be considered an expert. Only by forming a yang soul can you understand the benefits of cultivation. Disciple definitely won't disappoint senior apprentice sister's expectations. Wang Yuan was untainted by even a speck of dust. She coldly said, I came to see you just now because Dao Master Qin Ke came to see me. She said there was someone who wanted to see you. See me? Xiao Meier was puzzled. It's that arrogant disciple of the celestial sealing sect who boasted in front of me in the heavenly gourd. His name is Fang Yu. It's him. Xiao Meier trembled. Disciple doesn't want to see him. I hope senior apprentice sister won't agree. Of course I don't agree. Wang Yuan slowly looked over. But I didn't expect that this Fang Yu would change in just a few days. It's only been 30 years since we parted in the heavenly gourd, and now he's become the fourth Dao Master of the celestial sealing sect. He's a Dao Master's disciple. Xiao Meier silently cried tears of joy in her heart. Indeed, I rarely care about the sect's ordinary matters. In these past few years, the only thing I care about is you disciples' cultivation. Especially you. I just learned from the other Dao Masters that in these past few decades, that Fang Yu brat has done quite a few things that have shaken the entire Zhuotian world. His name is now known throughout the world. But even so, I won't let him see you so easily. Meier, my sect cultivates a clear heart and condensing qi. We have to sever all 7 emotions and 6 desires. It's not just love, but also familial love. Pursuing the immortal Tao is to pursue the Tao wholeheartedly. I've already refused. You should properly cultivate here. Wang Yuan transformed into cold qi and left the frozen space. You really did come as a Tao Master. I knew it. I never doubted you. But right now, you can't shake senior apprentice Sister Wang. You can't shake the laws of this Zuin pavilion. Go back. I don't want to put you in an awkward position because of me. Xiao Meier silently lowered her head. Snow once more filled the air. At this moment, Xiao Meier smiled. Chapter 473. Why doesn't Senior Sister Wang allow me to see Junior Sister Xiao? Centralized Palace Su Fong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He was originally sitting on the ice chair, but because of Zhen Qingchua's words, he suddenly stood up. His eyes were like lightning, flashing with a hint of sharpness. This Fang Yu is really brave. He can challenge Prince Shui in the Celestial Sealing Gate and return from the Xinjia Gate. Su Fong was challenging the power of the sect master. But Zhen Qingke did not blame him for his rudeness. When Su Fong returned to normal, she said, since Senior Sister Wang is in charge of Xiao Meier's cultivation, she has the authority to make such a decision. Even the elders can't interfere. Junior Brother Fong, this matter can't go according to your wishes, but the exchange day is coming soon. I hope you can prepare well. Is there no way for me to see Junior Sister Xiao? He still did not give up and looked at Jin Qingke with almost pleading eyes. This man, he has an unparalleled aura. He also has amazing talent. He should be a heroic man, but he is willing to compromise for a little girl. Zhen Qingke was stunned by his gaze, but in the end, she shook her head. Su Fong said again, then Senior Sister, can you take me to Wang Yuan's training ground? It's just outside the training ground. It's enough to stay for a while. That's fine, although it doesn't fit the rules, especially when the sect forbids strange men from entering the female training ground of the sect. I can still take you there since you are so determined. Zhen Qingke did not know why, but she actually agreed. Just like that, she took Su Fong through the door. In an instant, they appeared in front of an oval-shaped barrier covered by snow. Zhen Qingke reminded him, since this is Senior Sister Wang's training ground, we can't take another step in. Otherwise, with Senior Sister Wang's status, even if you are a disciple of the Venerable Tao, she will teach you a lesson and embarrass you. Yes, I've already sensed Junior Sister Zhao's aura. It can't be wrong. She is cultivating here. He took a small step forward. He closed his eyes slightly and did not release his young nascent soul. If he did, it would be spying on the training ground. Of course, he had other methods. An even more brilliant method was to use the origin of the Zhuotian realm. With the control of the Zhuotian realm's divine power of origin, coupled with the absorption of the spiritual energy of Zuin Pavilion's dojo, Su Fong could perfectly integrate his sensing ability into the sky of this dojo. Xiao Meier's aura was so weak, but as long as it was a familiar aura, Su Fong could sense everything around the dojo through the power of the origin. It was just that he couldn't go deeper. Chi. All of a sudden, a female disciple flew out. His aura was overbearing as he shouted coldly at Su Fong. Who are you? Where did you come from? Leave the training hall. I am a disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect, Fong Yu. I'm just passing by. Su Fong looked at the girl. She was only 17 or 18 years old. She was very young, but also very beautiful. But she doesn't have the gentleness of a woman. The woman was dressed in white, but it was not an ordinary snow-white robe. It was like a set of sturdy clothes, causing the woman to look fierce and heroic, just like the man. The girl frowned and sized him up in surprise. You're the genius of the Celestial Sealing Sect, Fong Yu, who recently challenged Prince Shui and became famous in the Zhuotian realm. Su Fong replied indifferently, That's right. I didn't expect to meet you here. I've heard people talking about you every day these past few years. The girl's eyes suddenly lit up. Zhen Qingxiao called out to the girl, Yuan Ling, Junior Brother Fong is here on behalf of the Celestial Sealing Sect to exchange with our sect's disciples. The girl, Yuan Ling, shook her head. But he came to my master's dojo and seemed to be spying on it. Don't worry about him, senior sister. I want to see if he really has the strength to fight Prince Shui to a draw like the rumors say. You want to? Zhen Qingxiao asked. I'm just testing him. I want to see if he really has the ability. Yuan Ling's aura suddenly changed. Wherever she walked, she was frozen. Senior sister Yuan, I'm not your match. I'm only at the first stage of the Yang Soul Realm. This Yuan Ling didn't give Zhen Qingxiao any face. It's true that you're only at the first stage of the Yang Soul Realm, but I know that you were able to fight Prince Shui to a draw when you were only at the 10th stage of the Undying Realm. That means your strength is at least at the 7th stage of the Calamity Realm. You're above me. Take my sword. Yuan Ling's attack became even fiercer. She swept over, and the surroundings were frozen. And suddenly, the freezing power turned into an incomparably sharp sword. Su Fong looked at Zhen Qingxiao, asking her for help. He didn't want to fight with such a powerful disciple of the Zuinf Pavilion in the dojo of the Zuinf Pavilion. But Zhen Qingxiao didn't say a word. How could she not know what Su Fong was thinking? Whoosh! The freezing sword qi sucked into surrounding freezing air, forming a sword light that was several meters tall. All right, I'll ask senior sister for advice. Pure yellow sword qi. There was no choice. Fortunately, there were witnesses here. He instantly used two great abilities, the minor Yellow Heaven's Divine Astral Force and the Daluo Heaven Sword Qi. The combination of tyrannical and sharp was also sword qi. One was a frozen, snow-white sword light. The other was a pure yellow sword qi. Bang! The two of them pushed their sword qi and sword light in the air, colliding in mid-air with lightning speed. At this moment, Su Fong and Yuan Ling both retreated several meters. As for the two sword qis, they had already begun to shatter from the collision. Neither of them suppressed the other's strength. Yuan Ling, who had steadied her footwork, looked at the strange man in front of her with a seriousness that she had never shown before. Did you use your full strength or normal strength? Then, senior sister, did you use your full strength? Su Fong asked calmly. Humph, as expected of a venerated Tao disciple of the Celestial Sealing Sect. You're only at the first stage of the Yang Soul Realm, but you can fight me to a draw. No, in terms of realm, I've already lost to you. Now, I believe that you fought Prince Shui to a draw in the Celestial Sealing Sect. You're even more terrifying than the rumors say. Whoosh! Yuan Ling turned around and entered the dojo after saying that. The moment she entered the barrier of the dojo, Yuan Ling's body froze. Wang Yuan's masked face appeared in front of her. Mas Master. Yuan Ling hastily bowed, her face pale with fright. Wang Yuan's voice was like thunder. You've grown bold. I didn't let you out, but you actually dared to leave the dojo and fight with Fong Yu. Disciple was wrong. Disciple was wrong. Yuan Ling, was even more terrified. It's fine if you fought, but in the end, you didn't even defeat Fang Yu when you were at the 6th stage of the Calamity Realm. Instead, you came back in such a sorry state. I say you're a genius, but in front of Fang Yu, you're not even a tenth of him. Fang Yu is really powerful. How could I not know how powerful he is? Otherwise, when he came back from the Celestial Sealing Sect and fought Prince Shui to a draw, even I would be afraid of his strength, let alone a disciple like you. That Fang Yu must have some peerless technique that he's hiding. But his own strength, just now, he used the Celestial Sealing Sect's minor yellow Heaven Divine, Astral Energy, and Daluo, Heavenly Sword Chi to block you. Regardless of his technique, just his strength is above a catastrophe disciple like you. Disciple is untalented. You really don't know how big the world is. Go back and enter seclusion. Without my permission, if you dare take another step out, you'll have to leave my dojo. Wang Yuan suddenly raised her hand, and an ice seal wrapped around Yuan Ling Hu. A wondrous door appeared in the ice palace. After sitting down, Zhen Qinxiao said meaningfully, Junior Apprentice Brother Fang, that Junior Apprentice Sister Yuan Ling is Senior Apprentice Sister Wang's favorite disciple. You didn't even give her face when you fought with her. It seems like neither of you won or lost, but in reality, she lost. Aren't you afraid of offending Senior Apprentice Sister Wang because of this? You probably won't be able to see Xiao Mei again in the future. I agree with Senior Apprentice Sister's words, and thanks Senior Apprentice Sister for the reminder. However, I'm still a disciple of the Celestial Bestowment Sect. When I came to your esteemed sect, I had to keep a low profile, be humble, and respect your esteemed sect. However, if someone wants to use this opportunity to step on my head, I, Fang Yu, am not someone who's afraid of trouble. Thinking back to when Prince Shui was at the Flying Immortal Island, in front of 100,000 disciples, he punished me in front of Prince Shui. He stripped me of my Dharma treasures, cut off my left arm, and even wanted to consign me to eternal damnation. So what if everyone is afraid of him? In the end, didn't I get back my dignity from him? This time, I've offended Wang Yuan, but who knows what will happen in the future. When the time comes, whether Wang Yuan will be stronger or if I, Fang Yu, will be stronger. I'm afraid no one can make a conclusion about the future. Senior Apprentice Sister, do you think that when I come to Zuin Pavilion again in the future, Wang Yuan will still be able to stop me from seeing the person I want to see? Su Fang's eyes shone brightly. The confidence that came from nowhere exploded from his eyes. Zhen Qinxiao was stunned. Su Fang continued, tomorrow is the exchange day. I hope it will end early. Right now, I'm still too weak. No matter where I go, I'll be restrained. In the end, I still have to become a powerful figure like Prince Shui. I can go to other small worlds to kill the Celestial Bestowment Sect disciples of other forces, and I can do whatever I want in the Ewotian realm. Then I'll go and prepare first. Zhen Qinxiao left the main hall silently. When she left the door, she looked back with a surprised expression. What a big tone. What high ambitions. I don't know if I should say that you're blind and arrogant, or that you're really ambitious. Let's do as you say. When the day comes, everything will be proven. Night came, and heavy snow fell. More than 100 disciples gathered at the Ice Palace. Zheng Daoxin led some Yang-soul disciples and ordered all the disciples to keep quiet. When Su Fang appeared, they all quieted down. He took out a large number of pure essence pills and impotence pills. Tomorrow is the exchange competition. Although this is Zuin Pavilion's territory, we can't be soft persimmons and be controlled by them. These are high-grade pills. Take more tonight and settle down. Tomorrow, show the glory of the Celestial Bestowment Sect. Even if we lose, we can't lose. In an instant, all the pills automatically flew to the 100 disciples. Qian Huanyun, Fu Tianshun, and the others accepted the pills. They were not surprised. They did not expect Su Fang to take out such high-grade pills. After everyone left, Su Fang continued to cultivate. He would not let go of the opportunity to absorb the essence of Zuin Pavilion's dojo. The energy in his 3 yang meridians gradually returned to normal. He also made a wound on his body, implanted the immortal fruit slices, swallowed the marrow cleansing pill, and the blood of the King of Ice. He worked at full speed, racing against time. The next day, Zhen Qingxiao led the disciples to the front of the ice palace. Under the guidance of the masters, an altar appeared. Soon, a large number of Zuin Pavilion disciples arrived. Most of them were female disciples. When it was close to noon, almost 100,000 Zuin Pavilion disciples gathered around the altar. The higher-ups and Su Fong sat at the front. The person in charge of Zuin Pavilion was Zhang Suning, Zhen Qingxiao, and the other higher-ups. Everyone knows that the 7 superpowers of the Celestial Bestowment sect are famous in the world. This time, the disciples of the Celestial Bestowment sect finally came to our sect. How can we miss such a good opportunity to exchange techniques? This exchange competition is not a fight to the death, but a duel. Both sides must pay attention to your safety. If anyone dares to break the rules, I will punish them severely. Now, disciples of the Longevity sect, whose names are called, enter the altar and wait. Zhang Suning spoke in a majestic and domineering voice. After that, Zhen Qingxiao began to call out names one by one. More than a dozen disciples of the Longevity sect from both sides flew onto the altar. Chapter 474. Su Fong sat at one end. Whenever a Longevity disciple flew out, he would secretly warn them. The last one to fly out was Qian Huanyan. The quota was decided through selection and self-registration. In fact, Su Fong already knew that Qian Huanyan would be there, but he still paid attention to her. Generally speaking, he didn't have many friends in the Celestial Sealing sect. Although Qian Huanyan wasn't too close to him back then, at least she had never tried to harm him. Fang Yu, that's the genius who tied with Prince Shui, whose name shook the Awatian world. He's really powerful. He's sitting at the same end as the Elder. No matter what, he's not inferior at all. Even our sect's Yuan Ling couldn't defeat him. That doesn't count. I heard that the two of them were just comparing notes. Su Fong, who seemed to be sitting quietly and watching the Longevity disciples fight on the altar, was actually using his perfected ability. At this moment, he could hear the surrounding Zuin Pavilion's upper echelons and the surrounding ordinary disciples. Whether it was their gazes or the content of their conversations, almost all of them were fixed on him. Coincidentally, he also saw the 2 female Immortal Realm disciples who had fallen into the hands of the twin Immortal sect together with Xiao Mei Er. In less than 2 hours, all the Longevity disciples' fights ended. Overall, Zuin Pavilion had the upper hand. Qian Huanyan defeated her opponent and was one of the few who won. Next was the Undying Disciples' fight. More than 10 people were chosen. The Undying Disciples' fights were far more exciting than the Longevity Disciples' fights. Among them were Huang Lingyun and Yi Guren, whom Su Fong was familiar with. They were the experts who had to fight for the barbarian Mark Divine Power Cauldron in the past. But now, their strength and cultivation were far behind Su Fong. Give these pills to the disciples who just finished fighting. While watching the altar, Su Fong called Zheng Daoxin and took out a lot of pills. He even gave each of them a marrow-cleansing pill and asked Zheng Daoxin to give it to the Longevity disciples. This made many disciples feel warm in their hearts. In this unfamiliar Zuin pavilion, there was still Su Fong's concern and so many pills. Which disciple wouldn't feel touched in their hearts? The Undying Disciples' fight also ended quickly. In this round, the Celestial Sealing sect's disciples were still at a disadvantage. Only 1/3 of them won. It was just an exchange. Winning or losing wasn't too important, but every disciple still cared about it. The Undying Disciples' fight. There were also Hua Tianyuan and Fu Tianshen among the Imperishable Realm disciples. There were only 5 people participating in the battle. The main reason was that the Imperishable Realm cultivators were more powerful. They didn't want to lose any disciples. Looks like Fu Tianshen is really fated with the Berserker Mark Divine Power Cauldron. His cultivation base is also breaking through quickly. He's still in the Imperishable Realm, but his divine power is stronger than all the Imperishable Realm disciples. It was 2. Su Fong still took out pills and gave them to the 5 undying disciples. The 5 of them were also sincerely grateful, especially the disciples who felt a sense of belonging from him. It seemed that Su Fang was as reliable as an elder. With him, they had unlimited confidence in their hearts. It seemed to have become a kind of disease. They didn't know when, but hundreds of disciples had this feeling. Maybe they didn't even realize it. The 3 young soul disciples' fight attracted everyone's attention. Su Fang also stared at the 3 experts of Zuan Pavilion. They were 2 women and a man. The cold chi they used was simply extraordinary, especially the freezing power. It completely surpassed the blue sky, cold, mysterious art. The 3 young soul disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect were at a disadvantage when facing the cold chi. Coupled with the yang soul's appearance, it spouted out a cold chi storm. Even the formation around the altar trembled. The yang soul and the original body attacked at the same time. This was the biggest difference between cultivators under the imperishable realm and those under the yang soul realm. Su Fang secretly recorded many characteristics of Zuan Pavilion's techniques. The ones that could counter Zuan Pavilion's techniques the most were fire elemental techniques. But all the Zuan Pavilion disciples had a special characteristic. This characteristic made them have a pure heart and few desires, even if they didn't use cold chi. They had a pure and untainted aura. It felt like all the disciples had cultivated for a long time to have such a stable temperament. It probably had a lot to do with the techniques of Zuan Pavilion. The last round of the competition ended. The 3 disciples of the Celestial Sealing sect had 1 win and 2 losses. Whoosh! The 6 of them had just finished their battle and left the altar. They didn't know that a woman flew into the array at an extremely fast speed, like a snowflake with wings. Zhang Sun Ying suddenly raised his voice. Wu Shuang, why did you go up? It's Jiao Wu Shuang. Why? Why did a disciple like her go up? Some of the surrounding Zuan Pavilion disciples were also very surprised. Elder, the snowflake figure condensed and turned into a masked woman in a white robe. Her aura was like a blooming snowflake, rising from the altar. She looked directly at Su Fang. It's rare to see a new venerable Tao disciple today. Each layer contained a supreme profundity. The elder indifferently said, I already know Fang Yu's strength. What about you? Jiao Wushuang suspiciously shook her head. He's very strong, unfathomable. I heard that Prince Shui's strength has already reached the peak of the Calamity Realm. For Fang Yu to be able to fight him to a draw, he's naturally stronger than me. There are many reasons why he was able to fight to a draw with Prince Shui. In truth, his strength is about the same as yours. However, his physical body, cultivation technique, and young nascent soul have fused together. His methods are truly shocking. Even I can't see through his true body. Elder, can you sense the high-level aura of the Xinjia gate from his body? Yes, his blood qi does indeed contain the aura of the Xinjia gate. He truly did have a fortuitous encounter in the Xinjia gate. Now, we can conclude from him that the Celestial Sealing sect's exalted Yuezhin must have obtained a shocking secret in the Xinjia gate. As for Fang Yu, I'm afraid he also has a certain secret. We have to think of a way to get that secret from him. Our sect also has a Dao item, but our Dao item admits that it's not even a tenth of the Xinjia gate's power. If we can obtain that secret, with the help of our Dao item's origin spirit, it won't be impossible for your generation to obtain that peerless Dao item. But if we want to get that secret from him, it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Jiao Wushuang sighed that it was impossible. As for the elder, she remained silent. It was unknown what she was thinking. Chapter 475. A few days after the exchange day, under the leadership of the Zuan Pavilion's higher-ups, the disciples left the Zuan Pavilion's training hall and began to tour the various scenic spots. However, in the depths of the Zuan Pavilion's training hall, more than 10 higher-ups and elders were gathered together. Zhen Xinxiao was also among them. There were 3 elders, including Zhang Sun Ying and 2 women. As elders, their strength was probably abnormally strong. Zhang Sun coldly sneered. This exchange with the Celestial Sealing Sect's disciples has benefited a lot. There's a reason why the Celestial Sealing Sect has developed in the past 10,000 years. Now, genius disciples are constantly emerging, especially venerable Tao disciple Feng Yu. Whether it's strength, ability, or potential, he far surpasses the current generation of genius disciples in the sect. A female elder at the side also said, Celestial Sealing Sect's Huang Lingyao is a peerless, desolate body genius disciple. They are indeed extraordinary. Fortunately, this time, we learn about Feng Yu's strength. Next, I have to reveal a big matter to you. I also want you to suggest a way. This is a big matter, you must not spread it. Another female elder looked at everyone solemnly. The last time the Celestial Sealing Sect held a grand ceremony, one was for Exalted Yuezhan, and the other was for Feng Yu. In fact, all the sects went to watch the ceremony because of Exalted Yuezhan. In a deeper sense, it's for the Celestial Sealing Sect. The surrounding higher-ups maintained their silence and listened carefully. The female elder sighed softly. You might not know this, but our sect's great elder was a cultivator of the same era as Exalted Master Yuezhan. Therefore, when Exalted Master Yuezhan was able to escape from the Xinjia Gate that had been imprisoned for thousands of years, the Zhuotian realm seemed calm, but the evil Tao and the righteous Tao forces were secretly shocked. In history, no one had ever been able to escape from the depths of the Xinjia Gate. Exalted Master Yuezhan was the only one. Zhang Sun said, Elder, there's another idea that you haven't mentioned. Our sect also wants to obtain the Celestial Sealing Sect. I asked you to come here to let you think of a way to obtain the secret of the Celestial Sealing Sect. Because of Exalted Yuezhan, the various sects secretly sent many experts to enter the Celestial Sealing Sect again. However, they didn't gain anything. No one dares to rashly enter the depths of the restriction. Method, it was impossible to obtain the secret of the Xinjia Gate from the Immortal Sealing Gate. All the executives were silent. There were sect masters and Tao masters here, and they all sank into deep thought after hearing the elder's words. Zhen Qingke suddenly stood up and bowed to the three elders. This concerns the future of the sect. I have something to say. Chapter 476. Zhang Xingmong and the man immediately came to the largest stone cave on the stone cliff. Su Feng appeared. When he saw the young man next to him, he was startled because he felt a power that had merged with the Qingyun Dao sect from him. His realm had also reached the peak of the catastrophe realm. This was a figure whose strength and cultivation were above Prince Shui's. Moreover, from the other party's token, Su Feng recognized that he was one of the three venerable Tao disciples of the Qingyun sect. Zhang Xingmong introduced solemnly, This is one of the venerable Tao disciples of our sect, Li Qianlong. He specially came over to chat with junior brother Feng. He's Li Qianlong, the peerless genius of the Qingyun sect whose strength is comparable to Prince Shui's. He was shocked. The Qingyun sect also had three venerable Tao disciples, each of whom was a genius. Li Qianlong. He was one of them. Greetings, senior brother Li. Please take care of me in the future. Su Feng did not move. After bowing, he invited the two into the stone cave. The space in the stone cave was very spacious. All kinds of decorations were carved on the spot. Everything seemed natural, as if the tables and chairs contained supreme Tao techniques. After Li Qianlong sat down, he looked around and said, The Qingyun sect is an anomaly in the Zhuotian realm. Oh, Su Feng listened curiously. Nowadays, most of the cultivation forces are focused on advancing by leaps and bounds. Under this kind of cultivation, cultivators progress rapidly and often achieve something in 1,000 years. However, the Qingyun sect is completely opposite. We still abide by the cultivation civilization passed down by our ancient ancestors. We pay attention to gradual progress. I have cultivated for 4,000 years and have only reached the catastrophe realm. Look at the Zhuotian realm. How many geniuses have crossed the catastrophe realm in 4,000 years? Li Qianlong said. He didn't seem like a young disciple of the venerate Tao, but more like a senior with experience. Originally, we pay attention to the Tao heart. Cultivation is mostly about comprehension. Of course, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with geniuses who can reach shocking levels of strength in a short time. It's just that the focus of cultivation is different. The latter nodded and sighed. It's no wonder that when I came to the Qingyan Tao sect, I felt a sense of stability and comfort. Although there are countless realms, it's not oppressive at all. The aura in the Tao sect is full of nature, as if the true qi of the disciples of the Qingyan Tao sect is formed naturally. Look at these cave abodes. Although there are artificial traces, they're actually created naturally by powerful beings using Tao. Senior Brother Li's words are really incisive. Rumor has it that junior apprentice brother only cultivated for 100 years, and you already have your current cultivation level and strength.